Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. My name is Khroen, and joining me, Boopasaurus with the ever all-powerful Mort Dog looming in the background. Didn't know that's what you changed it to, Boop, but I'm loving it because we are here on another new TFT batch, bringing you some action. Boop, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. What's actually really crazy about today's fight night is that it's actually going to be in twit-long form. So everyone get ready for it. I'm just kidding, but no, I'm jazzed about the fight night tonight. There's the Challenger Series coming up this weekend, so it's going to be a nice little vision into potentially the future for some of our last qualifiers going into Worlds.
Exactly. Yeah, new rules for Fight Night tonight. You know, of course, the player who writes the best twit longer actually wins. Crazy stuff. Mort Dog's going to grade all of them. It's gonna be wild, but no, we're gonna have, of course, 2 lobbies of players duking out over the course of 5 games. And we can introduce the lobbies right here. Lobby A, we got Upset Max leading the charge. The victor of last week looked very, very strong, but also joining them in Lobby A, we have Wizard, Ula Hooper, Kane Drew, Oten Rab, Poison Ender, Rokuyo, and Yippee Maokaye. Boop, we got Lobby B as well.
Yeah, we got Cash Stash, TFT, Coralie, Dish Soap, Gardo, Tablas Novak, Twitch TV Guffy, Tlee, and Rantafan. I feel like Lobby B always has way harder names.
Yeah, that's why I always go to Lobby A to make you try to sound out Lobby B, but no, we have some great players here in this list. They're all, of course, competing for the prize pool that we have. Of course, $150 goes to first place. Second place earns $75. Third place earns $50. And fourth place earns $25. And per usual, the top 4 do get invited back to defend their crown or try to take it away from the previous victor. In this case, it is going to be Upset Max, who, yeah, last week, Boop, had a pretty good run. But this week, we are on a new patch. It was a very large patch instead for a B patch. And what do you make of it? I know we were talking a little bit about it, you know, before the show. Innovator's still maybe pretty good, but maybe, you know, what are you looking forward to seeing here tonight?
If syndicates and innovators are going to create the majority of our lobbies, I think we're going to see a couple different versions of each. Like we might see Enforcers and Jin. There's the Ashe versus Ari when it comes to the syndicates, and Morgana being one of the most contested units in all of TFT right now. And what that creates in terms of that third comp, because the third comp always emerges when it comes to like a meta with 2 strong comps. The third comp reminds me of like Blade Masters in the past. If you get that tier 3 like 4 cost unit or 3 cost unit, you might be able to break into that top 2. But I do expect innovators to still be hanging around, even though there was a lot of changes when it came to that comp specifically.
Yeah, there were instead, but you can't keep the innovators down. They will, you know, keep on innovating and keep on finding ways to make them work. If I had to kind of put a comp in there for maybe that top 3, I know some people are trying to still make, you know, Hextech and Sivir work out a little bit. Maybe Draven could fit in there, but I think it is going to be Irelia personally, who's going to find her way pretty commonly into, you know, at least the 4 cost, the AD, seeing as a lot of the reroll comps got nerfed, right? There's less priority on things like Twitch reroll, less priority onto, you know, Ashe reroll as well. And it opens up 4 cost carries, and maybe even, you know, if you have a good win streak opener, go those 5 cost legendaries. Units like Zeri, you know, have been buffed recently, so they are pretty good. They're not going to be the standard things, but Set 6, I think, is all about the non-standard, Boop. They're about, you know, taking these specific niche scenarios and just making them work out, which, you know, we can't really, I suppose, can't really predict what all that craziness is going to be, but have an inkling as to the possibilities there, at least.
Yeah, and you haven't even mentioned the fact that augments are probably, in terms of weight, more important now than they have been in a lot of Set 6 and Set 6.5. So you're going to see a lot of team comps that might not be traditional appear because of the augments that we get. And hopefully one of these days we get a golden egg to see on broadcast, and it might be today's. We are riding along with our defending champion, Upset Max, who is a coach, by the way, and played, I believe, pretty flexibly. Also, if you remember, last week, the last lobby was probably one of the coolest lobbies of all time in terms of TFT. Upset Max getting a tier 2 Galio at stage 3-4 because of Recombobulator. So I wonder if that luck is going to transfer over for us today.
That was... Yeah, that I will still maintain that was the craziest game of TFT.
3
Renatas in one pack on level 5 into Recombobulator on stage 3 for a 2-star Galio. Like, what? And that wasn't even the craziest thing in the lobby. There was other crazy comps in that lobby too.
It lost.
Yeah.
It got second.
it was like one auto attack away from winning that lobby.
Yep.
And, oh yeah, I know we talked to Max in the interview last week, and they're like, oh no, he didn't know that he had, like, you know, already won the day before that. So it was a huge roller coaster of emotions. It was kind of really cool to get that insight. But you know, I don't think we're gonna be seeing quite the excitement that we saw in the last game, but you know, at least we can see the progression, the consistency, how upset Max approaches this week, and you know, if he's still able to, you know, innovate his way to the top.
All right, we're going to start with some scraps. We do pick up the Twitch, you know, and that is going to be a little bit more of a thinker when it comes to rolling for innovators. But we got some fun augments, not necessarily like the best augments in the world, but lifelong learning and pirates are definitely up there on the fun meter, and that's why you don't choose them. There usually is like a direct correlation between high risk augments like that and 8th places.
Yes.
Because when they work, they feel really, really good, but you want to take as many variables out of your game, and those 2 augments are going to make it so either you have too little variable in the scholar play and you're just going to struggle with front lines the entire game, and you're probably only going to get 4th or 3rd anyway, versus something that's going to work with positioning. So here with Celestial, you're going to be a-okay doing whatever because it affects every single comp in the game, as opposed to just a special singular comp.
Exactly. The standard good for every single situation is not ever going to, you know, lose value, is going to be the option that Max picks here. It does also pre-level to level 4. The shop, however, doesn't really feel that way. It's still a lot of 1 cost and a Warwick as well, so not a great shop. No innovators, right? Pre-leveling gives the chance to roll a Echo as well as higher chance to roll a Zillion, but Max just has to deal with couple scraps, couple challengers in the front line. I think also going back to those augment choices really quick, I think probably the only situations that you would choose, say like lifelong learning, is if you got an orb early and they gave like 2 Syndras or like a, you know, Syndra and a Zyra, maybe you'd consider it then. Or pirates, right? If you got an orb and it got a misfortune or a gangplank, like it's those specific situations that you might consider those augments. But hey, if they're not those situations, you're not going to do it, right? You're just going to go for that always consistently good augment choice, which in this case is that Celestial Blessing.
Exactly, and that's what I you know, meant earlier when it comes to the weight of these augments affecting your play, right? Say you did get that Kassadin, right? You already had the Kassadin, you orb the Zyra, for example. Of course, you're going to be able to potentially go that direction, but the other scholars like Renata don't come in until a little later, so you're going to be looking for damage in a front line a little later on, though they're going to be doing a lot of damage themselves based on the itemization. But enough about lifelong learning and pirates, a little bit more about our VTuber friend. Is this the first time?
I was just thinking that, actually. I think it might be the first time.
This is sick. I approve of all VTubers, by the way. I think the whole genre is like a work of art. Like, it is so impressive to me. Like, the amount of individual programming language you need to know, right, in order to do this. So cool, so cool. This is cool. I love the outfit as well. Anyway, back to TFT, I promise.
Oh, I was going to steer it away from TFT.
I know.
we'll go back on track here with the early mutant board. And this is interesting. I actually thought with the start, Rakuyu might have had you know, the augment that gives you like 3 costs at the start, but doesn't have that. It is going to just be a lot of econ. There's only 2 items that got slammed into a shiv, and we see from that fight the mutant is going to be extra auto attacks, extra chance of proccing auto attacks, because that Cho'Gath was teching rather fast. So I think Rakuyu is going to probably stick with these mutants throughout the whole game. Having a Cho'Gath early means you can stack it up. Malzahar can still work with a shiv. It's not like you're just using him as item carrier, or you could be, but you also could just leave it on him for the entire game.
This particular mutant buff, in my opinion, goes one way, and it's Kai'Sa, right? That's going to be the one. Whenever you think attack speed or double attack, that's just going to increase the amount of missiles that Kai'Sa is able to shoot, but it's also going to help you feast maybe 1 or 2 times extra in a round and help you stack that Cho'Gath. So, yep, that is definitely a double auto attack that we've seen, and you can't underestimate the Rek'Sai either when it comes to early game power, especially with the double auto attack. So while Kai'Sa might be the end game, this Rek'Sai might be where we see a lot of the power at first.
And cool. This is crazy as well, because even with Rakuyu leveling very aggressively to 5 before stage 2 carousel, they're still able to make 10 gold. And that's the power of not having 3 items drop in the early game. Only having 2 means you get that extra like around 6 gold to make econ with, make more aggressive choices, punish the rest of the lobby, which accelerates the pacing of it, as well as just be strong.
But you have to make sure that you utilize the gold because the power differential is going to be in upgraded units versus items. So you're going to have a lot more of an opportunity to get a tier 2 like 2 cost unit earlier, but your friends in the lobby, or I guess your opponents in the lobby, are going to have the items to potentially compensate for that. So when you do have that early gold start, you really got to push it. Because they're giving you a certain type of advantage. If you don't know what to do with 600 gold at that point in time, that's a really great time to kind of look in and see how you would handle the prospect of that extra gold, how you're going to push 6 gold into 50 gold, or potentially a reroll comp a little later on.
Yep, exactly. Moving on over to a wizard at this point here. Still 100 HP, 3 streak, and that is due to a debonair VIP Talon. Sure damage going to come out through there. Levels up to 5 as well. Plays a bodyguard frontline. This is good. This is solid. And this still has 20 gold backing it up as well. We could be seeing this Talon for the whole entire game. Did get a little bit nerfed. Players aren't rerolling Talon quite as much. But hey, maybe still strong enough.
Yeah, the Hextech Gunblade on Talon, super good. A lot of people really underestimate the value of AP on Talon, even just a little bit, because the bleed is actually going to be the thing that increases for it. And because it's a bleed type move, the Hextech Gunblade is going to proc every time the bleed procs. And so it's going to work a lot like the Renata Hextech Gunblade or the Malzahar Hextech Gunblade. I know it's a little awkward to see sometimes. And even when I see it now, I'm like, that's weird. Right, but you have to like overcome that initial thing of building a Hextech Gunblade on someone like Talon, because you'd never do that on the Rift, obviously.
No.
But I'm also intrigued by why we're running this particular comp, because I don't think assassins right now are in the greatest spot in the world, especially if you're able to reroll early. I think you can get there, but it looks like we're keeping a couple directions open, because this could pivot into a completely debonair comp as well.
Yep. Definitely could. This Talon does have staying power going up against Hula Hooper. Has a Blitzcrank hooks in the brand 1, but that's not really a huge deal. Definitely still being level 4 means that Wizard's going to have a big advantage here. Ziggs at least can't miss when all units are around him. You know, that's a good thing. But that's still not going to be enough, I don't think.
That's so funny. Poor Ziggs. The Shaquille O'Neal of TFT. Oh man. Anyway, but yeah, Hextech Gunblade, especially this early on a unit like Talon, is really good. When you kind of have someone feeding health into a unit when there's not a ton of damage there, the value is going to be much better in the early game. As we move on over
in the shop of Wizard before we swapped over there. Just wanted to, make sure
we have a bow too, so it could totally happen. As we have innovators here, as expected. There is like a socialite innovators with Seraphine and Senna being a part of that crew, so I wonder if we're going to end up going that direction.
Maybe. I think they're with innovators allow a bunch of different directions. Senna is one of them. You can play Jhin. You can just go vertical innovators if you get a spat, right? Through a tome, through a carousel, through an augment, things like that. Dragon is still very, very good. Hey, there's a Senna in the shop like you were talking about, Boop. And the items are very flexible because all the items are basically defensive at this point. Actually, every single one are defensive. So we need to start thinking about what carry we actually do want to go when, say, this next carousel and the wolves do come through. But at least holding these units for now to hold every single option open.
And don't underestimate the tankiness of a Singed, my friends. It can be super, super aggravating, and it's going to have that redemption too. So any AoE damage coming through on this front line is going to be a little easier to take, but there isn't that much other than Quinn and a little bit from Camille, but we do get a nice thrill from the Singe, who's doing an all right job in that front line. But what you're seeing right now is the battle of Innovator and finding damage, right? You want a long round like you're seeing here so the damage can stack, but if you're able to burst through Innovators, you can definitely take them down. I've always really liked Ari in response to Innovators for that reason.
Ooh, Nard 2 actually being found there as well. That's a huge upgrade that can help Kane out through the mid game. Nar is a kind of busted unit. We're seeing another Nar here on Hula Hooper's board.
Thanks, Spicy Appies.
But yeah, I know.
It's all your fault.
Oh my god.
Literally all your fault.
That was crazy. Absolutely crazy. That was like blue buff, like VT.
Chemtech. Yeah, it's blue buff. Yeah. Bloodthirster Chemtech spat.
What a game, what a game. But yeah, showing the world that or at least North America, that Gnar is certainly a good unit. So now on Hula Hooper's board, she is not playing the Gnar quite yet, but still another player playing innovators, playing scraps, having a, you know, okay early game in terms of direction. Not really a lot of power on this board though, and I think that's reflected through the HP. Hula Hooper is on a 5-loss streak, one of the lower players in the lobby.
Oh.
Killing a decent amount of units though at least, but I think Warwick can still win this one. I don't know. Poppy's actually tanking a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, the Sunfire Cape actually has taken off, so because the burn is no longer there, this Warwick should be just fine. And again, there's just not enough damage in a fast way in an Innovator comp, right? So something like Warwick is going to do really well because he can life steal through the chip damage that Innovators provide until, right, you get that Morelos, you get that Seraphine, you're able to burst them down a little bit. A Second Wind is the choice if you've ever been on the Convergence and been like, why do they all have health all of a sudden? It's because of Second Wind, and it's another one of those generalized augments that works for every comp. You're going to be sacrificing some peak power because you're spreading the power out for an augment that you know is going to be valuable.
Yeah. If you ask Mordog, though, I know Mordog's been very outspoken on recent broadcasts about not liking Second Wind, thinking it's a pretty bad augment. But, you know, does resign to the fact that sometimes it is your best option if you have other augments that aren't great. And I think Hula Hooper may have been in, you know, just that position. Still on the loss streak. Second Wind does give you a little bit of combat power, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough to try to turn the streak around.
It's good on Innovators for the reason why we've been talking about this whole time, as we're looking at Rokuyo again, who has the exact same comp as we've seen last time, just with a Swain, and the Malzahar gets pulled in and taken out super early, but now you're seeing this chip damage go through. Everyone gets into that Echo ult, but not enough damage once again. We are in the menu. Like, we gotta look for a Giant Slayer at this point in time with this comp, I think.
Yeah, even with getting the hook onto a Malzahar and taking him out really quickly, was still not able to deal with that composition. There is this Seraphine with a belt here. That is certainly going to be very appealing, and Hula Hooper snap picks it off the carousel right in front of her. She takes it with... Oh, has the Singe, so yeah, that's going to be 5 Innovators, so that will certainly be a big help for Hula Hooper to stabilize.
Yeah, the Bear's about to come on through onto the Convergence. And also, we have some familiar names from Innovation Cup, too. Yippee Maokaye actually overcome a lot of expectations, I think. Did really well last week, from what I remember. Also, a very good name, as it is going to be Rabna now, running the Challenger, something that you haven't seen in a very long time. And this comp can struggle right here and right now, if you're not able to roll into the correct units. And that's unfortunate, because this is when this comp should be taking wins.
Yeah, it really should be, but going, win-loss, especially with this Warwick being fully built, could... I mean, I guess can't justify selling the Quinn to shiv the Warwick, but this is kind of like best in slot reroll Warwick items right there with the Titans, the Quicksilver, and the shiv. Arguably, you can, say Rageblade can fit in there or something like that, but there is another Warwick on the bench. Leads me to think it will be a committal to the Warwick reroll. I just don't think it's that good. I think we talked about it last week as well. Warwick reroll is going to be good when you hit him at tier 3. He'll spike for about a stage, then he'll fall off like a ton of bricks when it reaches the late game and just not do anything.
It's I don't know how to describe it. I'm sure there's like a name we can call it, but this is a comp that will win 11 rounds in a row and then lose 11 rounds in a row. And sometimes it's hard to identify exactly when that happens, but the second you lose 2 rounds with this comp, you are in trouble. And we are going to be putting our Twitch a little bit more just like a Chemtech Assassin synergy bot at this point in time. A lot of the tier 2 and tier 3 benefits were actually taken away from Twitch. So we're going to go ahead and use it. That is going to be better than a Singed one.
Yeah, it definitely will be. It's a long time for them to actually, put that in, but I think this is, of course, the right decision. Uppins here, Blue Battery, Cybernetic Uplink as well, giving a little bit of health and mana generation, which is not that useful because Warwick doesn't really deal in mana, unfortunately. That is a Kaisen on the other side of the field there. Wizard TFT having 5 cost on stage 3. Not too shabby. Gonna carry this 100 HP win streak all the way into Wolves.
Yep, Draven with the last Whisper already as well. Not only are we ahead in terms of units, we're ahead in terms of items too. Hextech Gunblade on Kai'Sa is pretty good. Not like a best in slot in my opinion, but I mean, if you have it this early, again, Hextech Gunblade loses a little value as time goes on. As we have a Merc cash out for Yippee Mao Kaye, a lot of gold and a tome.
Okay. Not the best cash out that we've ever seen. It was okay. It gives a little bit of direction if you want the Draven, but if you look at the items, yeah, they don't lean towards Draven. They instead lean towards AP. We'll be able to level up on 4-1 or 4-2, roll it down, hopefully find some 5 cost to bail you out. This looking like it could turn into a Victor. There is a Scholar Heart. I mean, that's good for Victor as well, giving us some auto generation because there are no blue buffs, no Shojins, things like that. I want to say, yeah, I should probably pull the trigger right now, go to level 8, roll it down some potentially. Maybe it doesn't need to exactly. Instead, first is going to pop the tome. Maybe that will give direction. Mutant, not great here, just because another mutant buff is the adrenal glands, the extra auto attacks.
Could be better later, but is going to be
Misfortune.
Oh, because of the Shiv. So we're going to get a couple more Shiv procs because of that. So that's just a good combination in terms of trying to get value. We might be able to throw that mutant spat onto someone else a little later. That's going to have a little bit more impact. But if we're running AP, I'm struggling to really truly find out who that is, unless we're going to keep it onto Misfortune, because the Misfortune actually, look at how much damage it did compared to everyone else. Top fragging, the adrenal glands and the static shift, such a great combo. And the Rabadon's death cap is helping a lot too. You cannot underestimate the damage that Misfortune puts out when she lets it raid.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that was the easiest option for Yippee Mao Kaye, but it is going to be strongest right now, and maybe Yippee Mao Kaye is really leaning on, hey, I need to be strong right now. I don't really have the time to be rolling, maybe hitting victors, maybe not for that Chemtech option. I'm just curious. Hey, there is the Kai'Sa, so we could just be seeing a mutant composition leaning off the back of Kai'Sa. You mentioned earlier Kai'Sa is going to be good with these extra auto attacks, and that is of course true.
We do get the 5 mutants. This is what you call a shoulder shrug comp. Where you get the spat and you get all the, you see the Kai'Sa and you're like, all right, I guess I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I actually like that we're going that direction. I think some people can get a little hard stuck in their ways and would not make the same play. They would just go somewhere else because they already had a plan. But we pivoted, right? We're going to be a little lighter on our feet in terms of how we're going to be moving around this comp. And because this is on Misfortune, which is like a really easily sellable unit, right? All these 3 items are actually pretty free to go somewhere else, but is going to find value on this particular unit as well. So really good stuff.
A great point that you bring up about how, you know, I think playing mercenaries and then not getting stuck in like, oh, I need to transition into this one specific thing, because playing mercs means you should be open as possible. You don't know what's going to come out of that cash out. It could be, you know, 2 Dravens, you roll and there's another Draven, right? It could be, you know, a tome which gives you a mutant emblem, and I think Yippee is playing that super well at this point. We know they're a great caliber player, right? They play in premier TFT tournaments among the best players in North America. They can make it happen. I do expect Yippee to stabilize into at least a top 4 finish, but maybe haven't seen quite the rest of the lobby and how strong they are. As we move over to Wizard, who has dominated the lobby for the first 2 stages, but just now has fallen off a little bit. Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a lot of it.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the Kai'Sa, this would be a little challenging. The Draven at tier 1 already having a little bit of a hard time on the Blitzcrank, and what you're not seeing on Dravens recently is Infinity Edges, is something that I've noticed recently. And you know what? I eat my words. There's not enough damage coming through against this tier 1 Draven, a bunch of tier 1 units there. I thought it would have a little bit of a harder time against the opponent there, but not enough damage coming from Kandrew, who's in 3rd place with 54 HP. So Wizard feeling very comfortable at the top. Challengers, I feel like, is like walking a tightrope when it comes to winning or losing a lot of these rounds. If you get CC'd, it's tough, but if you're allowed to ramp up, then you're probably going to be able to take the dub. And at this point, the Bramble, like I said it right, is useless, right? Because we didn't put the IE on it, and that actually seems to be happening a little bit more often, where giant slayers are happening way earlier. And there it is. There's another Draven.
A VIP Draven at that. Why not just hit? I was gonna say, oh yeah, Wizard taking a loss is because they're not aggressively pushing level 8. It's okay, you know, they can sacrifice a little bit of HP, but might not need to sacrifice that much at all because,
Oh!
oh, yep. Uh-huh.
Why doesn't
Just
that happen to me?
hit. Well, you know,
I roll
don't know.
so much, Khroen.
Yeah, I feel
roll
that
down
too.
so
Yeah, it's just, these are just better players, I guess. It's player diff.
Yeah, so the difference between Draven 1 and Draven 2 is the difference between top 4 and a top 1, potentially. And so now we have to think about positioning. So we do have an assassin player. Kha'Zix, you know, can really start to pop off, but is kind of random when it does. CC can be pretty brutal against it. This is going to be a little bit harder, but look at this. Bramble versus no IE. It's not going to have a problem. The Last Whisper is going to be just enough for this Draven. And I really don't think a lot of the other auto-attacking units need it other than Jhin, personally.
Probably correct. Augment choices here. Wizard TFT, Future Sight, Arcane Crest, or Jeweled Lotus. Jeweled Lotus not really going to be that appealing. So yeah, Arcane Crest obviously not as well. So Future Sight's kind of the only option here. You get a Zephyr, get to always know who you're going to fight next. That's going to help a lot when it comes to how you want to position, what unit you're going to Zephyr. Draven just going to stay in the back row because he wants to be as far away from possible because he has literally infinite range. Wizard's in a great spot.
So you can actually play your hand a little bit when you get Future Sight. So Wizard actually cycles through a bunch of the boards because something that happens a lot when you get Future Sight is you go to the same board multiple times, and then they can just scout you and realize, oh, I'm going up against Wizard, right? So you have to make sure that you're playing a little bit of a mind game when it comes to this too. You don't want anyone to know for sure that they're going up against you, but you can definitely play your hand if you get a little too excited with that scouting.
Definitely can. The Zephyr...
You can tell that's a personal story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seems like it. Zephyr not going to get the most value here versus Yippee, but yeah, this is the one composition that, hey, even though Yippee quote-unquote stabilized, might not have stabilized enough, this Draven is going to be a absolute raid boss, and he's healing back up with this Rage Blade as well. Gets Caitlyn sniped. That's a Caitlyn 1. Caitlyn's versus backline 4-cost carries is an unwinnable matchup, Boop.
We saw Jhin 3 get taken down by a Caitlyn ult for a lobby win, I believe, a couple weeks ago. So Caitlyn seems like a trash unit for a really long time, and then that happens, and all of a sudden your heart doesn't know what to do. As we go over to our defending champion, Upset Max, and look how much closer this lobby has gotten all of a sudden, from 2nd place to the 8th place spot. I actually think it's a pretty average run, a little low on the 17 and 18. But what we're looking at here is the Innovator comp, but this time what you're not seeing is Twitch. And that's the big deal here. What you're seeing as the replacement is going to be a little bit of defensive stats with the socialites.
Yep. And I think about half the lobby is playing Innovators as well, Boop. So, of course, Innovators are going to be everyone's cup of tea. The big thing here is what does Upset Max want to transition into in terms of a carry if he does not find a Jace. Jace would love to carry these Ezreal items, even has an Ezreal to replace right there, finds Orianna upgrade. It could be Draven. There is 2 Dravens on the bench, but nothing for now. This is going to fall off, and it already has, right? Upset Max took a loss at the end of stage 4. And make a Banshees, which is still, you know, really good item. But is still going to be looking for something else.
Because one of the great things about Innovators, or Flexivators as people say, is you can start building this comp with an AP or AD direction. And I think that's why it is pretty popular, and while you'll see both versions in a lobby, but this Innovator comp having a hard time finding damage. Also, this Misfortune, the bargain bin, as Colin has really, I think, has a lot of value that maybe we shouldn't have gotten so much. But I don't know, the Adrenal with the Static Shiv is a great combo always, no matter who it's on.
Man, with that, Yippie's gonna greed out even more. Okay, now I was gonna say, greeding would be real wild. Hits other Jace, so can go Jace too if okay, or just hits it on natural rolls. That, you know, that's cool. That's fine. Nothing wrong there.
Yeah. I lost so much LP. Anyway, Yippee Maokai, yay, was our Merc player too. And I remember that was only a I think like a 50 gold cash out. I think we got a tome in gold, and that's it. And we have one win streak through the Merc cash out, which can be a little worrying, but it seems like we do have all the pieces that we need. We just got to get to the Seraphine now, and now you're seeing that Jhin, with some of these changes, finally showing up on these comps. But this IE with Bramble Vest, so hard to break through, and again, that's why you need the Giant Slayer too.
It's only on a Caston as well, and Caston's tanking about as well as like a 3 or a 4 cost unit there, but it's, you know, only a 1 cost. I mean, these items are really, really good for the front line. Has double war mugs. The backline items are still a bit worrying. This Misfortune is not going to, you know, carry this effectively forever. But I think Yippee Maokai is doing a fantastic job at recognizing their relative strength at very specific points in the lobby. They know, okay, I need to cash out, roll this much. Okay, I'm strong enough. I can sit, I can wait. And then I think they're going to be recognizing that, hey, they're going to have to do the same thing again soon and transfer some items over. But that time is not quite yet.
And we don't have another sniper to help with Misfortune damage, so we've already decided that Misfortune is moving away from our carry. We did have won 3 in a row, and it might just be the Kai'Sa that helps us in top 4, but this is a pretty close matchup. Should be the Kai'Sa if we get another ultimate, or yes.
My. Talk about...
Thank you, adrenal glands, huh?
Yeah, talk about recognizing board strength. Yippee is like, oh, no sweat. Yeah, I'm going to win this by 1 unit, just the Kai'Sa's cast. Okay, maybe next round I'll have to think about doing something else. As we shift back on over to Rokuyo. 2 players have gotten out already. It was Otenrab with the Warwick reroll. Did hit Warwick 3, but it wasn't good enough. And I don't want to say no surprise there, but kind of want to say no surprise there.
Everything happened late. Everything happened late for that comp, unfortunately. As Rokuyo gets the Giant Slayer passed up by the Hula Hooper. So Hula Hooper going to go a different direction. Rokuyo also running 5 mutants, but this one has the Kha'Zix. And again, this is kind of the name of the game when it comes to this set, is similar packages with different carries, right? This one's going to be the Kha'Zix. You'll see Malzahar carries with other mutant buffs, and it's kind of like what Mutant's all about. But you're going to be seeing it with Innovators too, with the Jhinnovator or the Seraphine like we're seeing here. They're there together this time around too, so it's really about that itemization, who you're putting these items on and how you're utilizing it. And we get a Chemtech spat on the other side, and that might roll into something fun and help us maybe even get a dragon.
It just might. See if Rokuyo can dodge elimination here. Maybe eliminate Hula Hooper while they're at it. Kha'Zix, can you do it? Oh yes. Not elimination, but at least dodging elimination for now. Upset Max could go out in 7th. Now Poison Ender, Rokuyo, and Hula Hooper all at single-digit HP. Have to be worried here. Rokuyo is going to push to level 9 and can't really play anything. Goes to level 9, rolls once, has no money to buy anything. Oh wow, is going to actually sell the Kai'Sa there.
That's what you call a desperation station on elimination station. Here for Rokuyo, we did get the Giant Slayer, I believe. No. Was that us? Maybe I misread it, but the Static Shiv not really going to be helping all that much. You're already seeing that fall off, just like some other items. The Shiv can be helpful later on, but it's just so much better in the early game. All eyes on Kha'Zix for this particular comp, i.e. Last Whisper. A Bramble Vest is going to be tough. There isn't any on this side, and Kha'Zix actually sidestepping the Victor ult. Wow. And it's going to help us win out here. Very, very good positioning from this auto babbler here on that Kha'Zix to avoid that Victor ult, because that was the difference between winning and losing that round.
Great micro. Yeah, losing that round would have meant a bot 4, right? But Rokuyo dodges out and manages to secure top 4 this game, which, gotta be feeling good about. Hula Hooper goes 6th. Poison Ender goes 5th. Poison Ender is, I believe, on their 3rd week. Yeah, actually, it's on their 3rd week. So, 3-week curse? Uh-oh.
It's real. It's back. All right, we have an Archangel Staff. It's going to be okay, especially for the Malzahar. So we're going to actually be able to use our own advantage from having a static Shiv. We're still rolling down for some more units. Maybe a Sedge 2, something to help us get a little bit stronger, because I don't know if we're going to win against any of these final 3 comps.
3 pairs, but that's not a good hand in this game, Boop. You gotta be hitting these pairs, not doing so.
That's a good line. You should be proud of that one. Keep that one in the back pocket. That one made me like you know when you like get a massage, you get that shiver.
Yeah.
Right, I definitely just had that with your words.
Nice. I'm glad.
Appreciate you. This Draven though, doing some appreciating on this board right now. It's going to be on the Cho'Gath, and again, not having IE makes that an advantage for the Draven. Because of that Bramble, we have a Bramble ourselves to help our Leona do well, but I don't think Rikuyo is going to win against any of those comps, to be honest with you, as Keidru is going to be the next one on Elimination Station. And honestly, I'm really impressed by Yippee Maokai using just a gold cash out this well so far, but we do have Kai'Sa 2, Debonair Kai'Sa 2.
Debonair Kai'Sa 2, not mutant buffed, but still with Quicksilver, Debonair actually being Silco buffed as well, so the cast will be a bit faster. You know, Kai'Sa does benefit from autoing more. She'll send out more missiles, but hey, still going to be solid. 7 Debonair is what Wizards working with. This is going to be a hard comp to beat.
Assassin Aurelia is going to hit Draven. So this actually could be a positioning diff as we see it. Nope! Syndra can be so good. BT actually gets it as well. So with the Syndra throw, sending them to their room. This wasn't even close. We were all looking at the Draven, but the rest of the team needed some credit as well, as Keidru is eliminated. We have a palindrome for our final two, 52-25.
Ooh, very, very true. The Merc cash out versus the win streaker. That is kind of the story of TFT, it seems like. We get to see, hey, does win streaking, you know, saving all this HP, pushing levels because of that, or a huge Merc cash out, gonna be better. And I don't even think it was like a huge Merc cash out. We commented on it could have been a little bit better. It was East of Gold, it was a tome, but I think the play from Yippee Maokai was really great to get to this point. We still got a couple rounds to determine the victor, at least a couple of rounds, but these items have been moved over to a Kai'Sa. That is a Kai'Sa 2 versus a Kai'Sa 2, but Draven might be the difference here.
I love that Challenger emblem with the mutant emblem on the Victor, so that's a lot of attack speed. So he's going to get an attack speed buff on a kill, but Kai'Sa's going to take Wizard down no problem. Really good itemization. Shiv's going to be really nice on her, but the raw AP and with the Shojins, you're going to be doing a lot of damage.
Some great items on the stage 6 carousel. Boopa Zephyr and a Shroud. Both of them are going to be grabbed. But Yippee Maokai got kind of the first pick there, just based off of carousel positioning. Still has some upgrades to find as well. That's Victor 2. That's so huge with what you were just describing. The Challenger, the Mutant as well. This Victor's gonna be attacking so ridiculously fast. It's gonna be such a fast cast.
Your initial instinct would maybe to be put that on Chase, right? But no, friends. You can put it on your AP units and try to get them to ult a little bit faster, because the thing about Victor's ult is, since it's AoE, it's going to be really easy to proc the Challenger buff, and there's going to be someone else who might be able to proc it as well, which is going to be the Kai'Sa. So you have two of the best, you know, killing units in the entire Convergence, plus the Challenger buff. You're going to actually be probably doing the same amount as having a Shojins, or even better than that.
Yeah. Victor being upgraded as well as the Zephyr.
So far. Oh!
Does win it. 10 streak now for Yippee Maokai. And hits the Tahm Kench too. Oh boy.
That's like when you pack a Charizard. You know, when you're like 7 years old and you get one pack.
Oh yeah.
Right, and the Charizard's in it. We're going to go ahead and feed Sir Thomas as well. 10-game win streak, hasn't looked back. Lost once since the Merc cash out, but was able to utilize that gold really well. And just as a reminder, it wasn't the greatest Merc cash out in the world. I think a lot of people would rather have gold sometimes than items, because gold is more flexible. But at the end of the day, I remember the spatula items just not being that great. That's why we have a Challenger and Mutant Victor right now. Look how quickly it's attacking. We get our first ult off with no blue buff at about the same time, and we're going to be able to develop some HP regeneration with the Celestial Blessing as well, and that was even worse for a Wizard. And it looks like we're kind of going to the gallows right now, as opposed to, you know, trying to compete for the win.
Yeah, I guess the one saving grace from Wizard is that at this point, Yippee Maokai can't really get any stronger, at least in terms of upgrades. There's still the factor of Tahm Kench farming items, and Tom Kench did indeed farm an item last round. Even, oh, okay, I actually like that. Giving Tom Kench armor so he'll be more resistant to, like, Draven can be a better front line as opposed to Tom Kench doing damage, right? Tom Kench's role is not to deal damage in this composition. It's to just be tanky, allow time for the Kai'Sa and the Jace to, you know, do everything that they can. So, like that decision making. Jinx too is found and okay, just gets immediately fed to the Tom Kench. 45 AP on that one. Bramble Vest now on the Tom Kench. Boop.
That's an entire item, and hopefully it would be, because that was 15 gold going into Sir Thomas's belly at that point in time.
That's a good meal. That's about as good as we've seen a Tom Kench eat in a while.
Exactly. That's like high-class Vegas meal right there. The greatest buffet that you can ask for. All right, here we go. And the Draven's actually going to start off on the Kassadin. Both have Bramble, but there's no IE on the other side. But Bramble does provide a lot of just regular armor, and the Victor ult is looking like it's enough. Once we get that ult off, look how quickly the second one comes through. The Bloodthirster, not enough. Ending at round 7-1. Yippee Mao Kaye coming from our last, coming from the Innovator Cup and winning Lobby A. As we actually have some time to go over to Lobby B. As we have a top 3, we've got Dish Soap, a name that y'all might recognize. We got Guffy, we've got Quarley. So Guffy right now running Innovators. That's not surprising. I didn't quite catch what our other friends were using, but this game has gotten into the ultra late game, and if 3 people have made it to 7-1, all 3 of these comps are rock, paper, scissoring, you know, each other when it comes to counters.
Kind of crazy is gonna... Oh, Orianna 3 comes through with that Nico. I didn't even see there as 2 out of 2s on the field. This is a pretty game-winning composition. There's still 2 lives remaining left on Goofy, being at 29 HP as well.
I don't think I've ever seen an Orianna 3.
Oh, it's strong. Take a look at this cast.
I bet. Here we go. One more auto attack. Oh, and along with the knockout, that was visually pleasing as well. Looks like we've got a Victor comp here, a lot more AP based Mutant Challenger Victor, as Quarley is going to start a win streak here. So I wonder what she's running. I didn't quite catch it again, but Innovator 5 does seem like it should fall off at this point without an Orianna 3, but with the Orianna 3, I think we're about to hit the finish line. We also have a Tactician's Crown, so we have 10 units on the board.
Hey, 11 even with the bear, right? Innovators. Crazy stuff. Orly, though, on a streak. Makes me think that perhaps she beat this board, at least before it was an Orianna 3. Is going to move out of that Socialite Hex, not wanting to get hooked or Zephyr'd, maybe. Does not get Zephyr'd. Does get enforced, though.
We have another very good Tom Kench. I like the itemization. Hextech Gunblade on Tom Kench is very, very good. And look how strong. Wow. I think Quarley really overachieving here, but Tom Kench has... I'm sorry. That is the biggest Thomas I've ever seen. And it might... Oh no, Silco killed us! Silco killed us! I was trying to find the words and I was like, Silco, we killed ourselves. In that round, is Goofy is going to take the dub there. If there was no Silco, I actually think that could have gone the other way. Because the Tom Kench eats were pretty solid.
I'd be inclined to agree with you, I think. The Tom Kench ate the Orianna. It would have healed itself up. It would have had more time to get to the back line. The Jace as well wouldn't have just fallen over like he did. Might have been a Silco diff in the other direction, so unfortunate there for Corley. But let's go ahead and look at the scores from that game. We saw the end of Lobby B. We watched all of Lobby A. Lobby A, of course, CP Mao Kaye won. Lobby B, it was Goofy going first. Corley going second. Dish Soap, of course, got the third.
Yeah, and super interesting that the Tom Kench is still finding its way into a lot of these comps as just either the last bruiser or a splash just to farm those items. So a lot of these 5 costs still showing up. We've seen the Jace, but one thing that we didn't see was Syndicates, but we did see a lot of Innovators.
Yeah, we saw a ton of Innovators, but no Ari. Maybe that's just a game 1 thing, right? Maybe we're going to be seeing them in the future, which I think we should. Now, of course, looking at the overall scoreboard, we know that the top 8, right, the left side of the screen is where you want to be after the 3 games, and then we move to just 8 players moving forward. So a good start for Goofy, Yippee Maokai, and the rest of the left-hand column there, but still 2 more games left to go for, you know, Upset Max and the rest to climb back there. Max, winner of last week, gonna be looking to make it happen again, Boop.
Yeah, we got a top 2 on the next lobby at least, I think, to really push ourselves into the final 8. And again, as a reminder, we aren't taking 4 and 4. We are taking the top 8 scores. So lobby could get 5 representatives in the finals, and we do keep those scores as well. But first, we still have to get through those first 3. And when we come back from the break, it's going to be that second lobby and probably more innovators, right, Khroen?
Yep, speaking of a break, we do have to go to one, but when we return, we will be having game number 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Fight Night Rising. Still Khroen and Boop here, bringing you all the action that we have from our 16 competitors here. Game number 1 is in the books, and we're looking forward to game number 2 and 3 to see who move on to the final lobby. Saw a lot of invaders, Boop. We're talking about them since it feels like forever now, and we're going to continue to talk about them. But also, I think the question is, what do we add to the conversation? And reroll Warwick? Probably not going to be there for that long, besides for the fact that it goes 8th, because it did in that last lobby, unfortunately, for Odin Rabin. I mean, I think that's just kind of the trend with reroll right now. Unless you get like a crazy opener, you're just probably going to avoid it, right? Unless it's maybe like these 3-cost rerolls like Senna, Morgana you can throw in there as well. Maybe we'll see an odd Yordle game. Who knows?
So think about TFT is like a marathon, right? There are different ways to run a marathon. There are people who like to start out really strong, and then they'll fade at the end, and there are going to be people who bide their time and then push and sprint at the end. And I think reroll comps is the former, right? They try to take as much of a lead at the beginning, do as much damage as quickly as possible, so when they do start falling off, they've guaranteed a top 4.
Yep.
Right, and I think that's always been the best space for rerolls. In terms of winning, you're gonna need perfect items and stuff like that, and you might also need an augment to help you out. But it is definitely not as strong as before. Yeah, the Ashe can still work. I think Twitch can still work if like you're super desperate, and it might sneak you into a top 4. But overall, the innovator innovation is dropping any type of the reroll aspect of it and just adding 4 or 3 cost power.
Yep. Whether cost power is a big one in this game, and hey, maybe we'll see some Ari coming to the fold. I don't even think we saw Aurelia that much, and that was kind of my prediction coming into today. I think I thought that she was going to be, you know, pretty strong, but the thing that we weren't expecting to see, and we did, was a couple of 5 mutant comps, a couple of Kaisas going back and forth with that, you know, adrenaline rush, the Draven as well, because rolling into a VIP Draven, having some not even great Draven items, but just some mid-tier Draven items was enough. If you have a good opener, win streaking, hit the VIP Draven, like what more, right? The game just kind of plays itself at that point, and oh boy, it's been a while since we've seen an all spatula opener on the carousel, Boop, but we are in for a bit of a treat here, at least for us on this side. I know players not the biggest fan of it.
All right, so let's talk about where we could go from here, right? You can't get an innovator spat, so don't worry about that, right? You can't roll into it with scrap, for example. So there are going to be a couple very obvious choices, I think. One of the big ones is going to be mutant, like we've seen when it comes to certain types of mutant buffs, and even the adrenaline rush that we had before isn't even the best one, and it was still really good. For a lot of our comps, as that's going to be a challenger emblem with the bow, and that's going to be another, you know, common emblem that you see, but it can be really anybody's guess here as what the final direction is going to be. And the other thing that you really have to think about with these spat starts is how long you keep the spat. Do you get an initial advantage with an extra synergy, or do you risk it for the biscuit and get that tack crown?
Risk it for the tactician's crown is certainly going to be on a lot of players' minds. Even someone, I didn't see who in the chat, typed, "I'm down for a 3 spat on the carousel," coming up. So we'll see. Ooh, a lot of Yordles coming through. There, a Gnar and a Lulu. Mercenary Heart, funny frontline, and Knife's Edge. Merc Heart, not going to be the pick here, with no Mercenaries, but funny frontline and Knife's Edge. Certainly both really good options.
I think it's going to be Knife's Edge. Yeah. Phony Frontline, just not as good as it used to be. And if we're already kind of thinking some direction, like Innovators, that's not really the comp that needs a frontline. This one does, a Yordle comp does. But we actually have the frontline units for the Yordle comp, all 3 of them. The Lulu helps the frontliners, and then you've got the Gnar, who's broken, and you've got the Poppy, who we've actually seen do quite well so far. Gnar is broken not just because of the unit; he can hold literally any itemization and find value out of it, pretty much. So,
like a blue buff BT and a
it's also a trip synergy, right? So we've got a triple synergy on the Gnar as well, with socialite buff. So just a lot of inherent help, as that's a giant slayer to start. If we don't use our spat.
Yeah, I mean, using the spat with the sword's going to give striker, and I mean, hey, Gnar is a striker. Probably not going to go that direction, however, it's going to lock us in a little bit too much, unless, yes, we get it. All right, interesting. Leveling up, getting this Ezreal, getting scrap, giving striker.
This is an Aurelia comp now, right? We've gotten Striker. We have 2 of them. This is an Aurelia comp. We have Knife's Edge as well. So this Ezreal actually going to be doing a ton of damage. Look at that. Look at how much damage that is.
The Edge is going to be doing a ton of damage, but my eyes immediately go to the fact that this is an Innovator emblem already. Stage 2 from Dish Soap, who got the early tome. We are most likely going to be seeing a dragon this game, Boop. That is pretty certain, unless they die before they find a Jace or something like that.
Unfortunately, I think the dragon can actually be a little underwhelming. So
that's fair.
It is not like the you get the dragon and win as iterations of the past have been. It does have some weaknesses. Remember, we had that Draven with the double giant slayer. One time the dragon didn't even ult. So, you know, that is always a possibility. And if you're curious, yes, no spat can actually go into Innovator, but we got a tome to start here with that augment. And we're going to start with Twitch. So this is Twitch Evaders. And the moment of time is probably going to change over. Building the Bloodthirster to start does mean that we are going to stick with some auto-attacking based units.
Yep.
Might turn into a Jin later. Bloodthirster's not really the best item on him, so curious to see where this is going to go.
I'd imagine probably the most likely thing is going to be Jace. We know it's not going to be reroll because the Twitch is the carrier of the Innovator emblem, and that's of course just like a waste of an item slot. But it's going to be good in the early game, even with Dishlip losing last round. It was only by 1 unit. Now is going to turn it around. Probably go on a win streak instead. It might have been interesting to play this from reroll standpoint, because there are 4 Singe, there are 4 Twitch as well. Just with it being nerfed, not something Soap wants to risk, right? Can still play it without rerolling, play it consistently, and have a really, really strong finish.
And I think that's kind of like the hardest thing when it comes. One of the harder things in this set. It kind of feels like the mid game can really slow down in terms of your progress if you're not really hitting those units, right? We've all seen the precipice of the 5-1 roll down, right? You know, you hit level 7 or you hit level 8 at 5-1 and you roll down, you hit nothing, and that pretty much means you're going to start nosediving in the standings, and sometimes you never recover.
Yeah.
And you know, that is a possibility with a lot of these comps, especially if they are contested, as we do see mutants once again on the other side. Let's see what we can gather from the mutant buff without seeing the print. Doesn't look like it's adrenal glands again.
No.
Cybernetics. It looks like it's cybernetics with unstable evolution. This is actually a very good augment for this comp. If you're able to get unstable evolution and get that tier 2 unit quickly, it's a random buff, but it's look how tanky that Kassadin is.
Yeah.
Kassadin doing pretty good today, to be honest with you.
I saw the tank Kassadin last game. Kassadin might have had the 500 bonus health from the unstable evolution, because that Kassadin was super tanky. Put the spatula component on him as well.
Wow, look at the cut Braum went through. Right?
Cash, stash, TFT, the inspiration for Braum.
After the cut, though.
Yeah.
This is like peak training Braum. Oh my goodness, he's actually a musketeer. Okay. Wow, this is awesome. I've never been this jealous about someone's face before. Okay. Okay, Chris, you can do this. 100 HP.
You can get through this.
Cash dash at the top. We still have our spatula, but we could be using it here soon. We're gonna be looking for we have innovators. It looks like we're gonna keep going innovators.
That we do, of course. As the 4th innovator, it's not the 5th yet. Needs the Seraphine. Or, oh yeah, I mean, Seraphine. Not really many items at this point. Actually, the spatula did roll into a Chemtech emblem, which does absolutely nothing, unfortunately.
Sometimes you can get lucky, roll into like an assassin emblem for someone, but it's not going to be the case here. We do get only a 2-unit loss. That's our first loss. We were win streak, and this is like the worst time to lose your win streak. Whatever you do before the carousel is kind of what you want to bring into your PvE round. So we do reset our momentum a little bit. We won't get our extra gold until the next stage, at least. So we're in a little bit of a precarious position here. At least we've already gotten 20 gold to start.
Yeah, 20 gold here is not bad. Unfortunately, couldn't continue the streak. There is an Ari in the shop. Would sometimes be an okay pivot. A little bit awkward, I suppose, from this point, because we already have the innovator direction. You're not going to generally see Ari ran with innovators. Now we get to see Randy Fan again on their side with those mutants. And they're just so tanky. They're probably going to be pushing through the comp of Cash Dash here because of just the flat HP that they have.
We've actually seen this cybernetic enhancement buff, same type of buff on mutants do really well here before in the past, and the reason why it does so well, especially in the early game, is there's just not a lot of damage, right? So anything that adds just health and raw defense is going to be a little bit better. As we do get the Kazakhs as well for
man.
Randy Fan. That's a funny name too.
Randy Fan of Randy. Do have, of course, the Kazakhs. It's going to make it that much easier to get 5 Mutant on soon, and Kazakhs is just wants to be the carry in this composition. If it's not Malzahar, right? It's Kazakhs. We saw Kazakhs carry in the last game do fairly well. Now we get a chance to see, can we get the items online for it?
Man, gorgeous board as well. We get all the pixels on this one. Yeah, and we are going to get to see these mutants kind of work out a little bit more, especially with this unstable evolution. The Cho'Gath and the Kazakhs still have more stats to gain.
Yep.
It is not over just yet. I know Deathblade can be a little bit of a bait. I think.
I was going to say, I really wouldn't want to see a Deathblade there.
Especially at 3-1. That's like one of those items that you slam in the beginning if you're like really trying to rush a win streak.
Yeah.
But that's just not going to happen here. This was the better choice. We're going to go ahead and put the item on the Kazakhs and see what works out here. And the Edge of Night's going to be really, really nice for Kazakhs because he can become quite vulnerable to a lot of these comps because of CC, but we get kind of an extra life with this item.
Yeah, basically.
If it's not hard CC.
Yep, basically extra life there, drop aggro, get some attack speed as well, which is going to be utilizing. And looking at other side there from Gardo, it's going to be a carry Senna, Striker, IE, Jewel, or sorry, Last Whisper IE pairing there for another AD carry probably a bit later.
Too much HP on these mutants.
Yep.
Once again, just not enough damage. The Senna actually has some pretty good itemization. I've been pretty clear that I prefer the Giant Slayer on a lot of these auto attack based carries, and I think this comp is like the reason why, right? A Giant Slayer would be really nice against this particular mutant comp, but now that Senna's already maxed out in terms of those items because of that Striker emblem. That Senna can carry a little bit later on. We do just need to build up the team around it, as we have an Arcanist Yordle start here. The Yordle's obviously the reason why we have 50 gold, and we're going to start building some Arcanists. We have the Morgana in the front line, so we probably are going to be moving towards an Ari.
Most likely. Arcanist committal there. And, I mean, I think we were talking about before, some weeks ago, right? What, like, the Ari, best in slot is, and Giant Slayer was a part of that. It might have changed a little bit in this meta, but I still think Giant Slayer is a really solid option, especially in a lobby with mutants and cybernetic enhancements buffing their HP, right? Giant Slayer is going to be doing great work at taking those out. Not going to get too much value here in this fight, so it's going to be a bit closer. Lulu, though, she can survive and buff these units up.
She's such a good unit.
Yep, there we go. Gets knock up and probably gets the round win because of it.
Yep. Lulu, good unit. One of the best enchanters, maybe the best enchanter. At a 2 cost too. Senna can do pretty well. Bodyguard, Pandora, Meditation. We have Makeshift, which is actually really nice with Meditation, but it kind of blocks you off in the late game. It's going to be... There aren't many mid-game augments. This is probably one of the closest you can get to, but any no-item augments, every round that you go past that augment, it usually gets weaker. So we'll see what happens here, as we're definitely going to be avoiding like things like Tom Kench to give us more items, because we actually don't want any items here right now.
Yeah, especially on the front line. Front line doesn't want anything because the Makeshift, Meditation as well, and it's a little bit awkward when that comes through with having an emblem. Because it's not like Lulu's going to be carrying a lot of items, right? You're just going to stick the Arcanist emblem on her. Maybe you'll rotate it out a bit later, and this will become something else, but you're going to kind of want to itemize 2 carries from this position usually. You have a bit of time until we figure out what those carries actually are. I don't know why I thought really covering the surrender button there. But maybe just,
emotional damage.
Just a little bit of, restless hands, maybe. Keeping them warm.
I always compare it to the old StarCraft days, making my APM artificially inflate because I'm spamming keys.
Yep. So number go up, APM number go up. No, you're doing good, right?
Exactly. And everyone is scared when that number is high. She's going to take down this unit. Yeah, so Lulu actually only going to be losing by 1 unit. That's potentially going to matter a little bit later. But Yi, right now, doesn't seem to be happy about what the spot that they're in. We are going to pick second on Carousel, as it's going to be Tabla Nabak right now picking first, and it's going to be our Crit Glove.
Great Glove playing also mutants. We've seen a lot of I guess this game is an exception, right? Because of the early spatula, you're not going to build it into that many things. You were talking about it earlier. What do you make that spat into? It's like, oh, okay, maybe Debonair if you get a good Debonair opener. We saw an Arcanist, but yeah, I think that mutant's going to be one that's pretty easy to go into, especially if it's going to allow you to, I would say early game win streak, which Tablas has not really done, but usually cybernetic and mutants are good for that. Still going to be decently strong, I think, here, though, at the end of the day, and hopefully able to stabilize. I guess a few people are at 64 HP. Literally 3 people are, so it's not like they're that far behind, just a little bit under middle of the pack.
Okay. So where do we go from here? A lot of times that mutant spat is going to get passed off, right? Though I do kind of like it here on the Nocturne. I remember seeing someone say that Nocturne 3 was the most useless unit. I tend to agree, but if you're going to get it early, it can actually do a lot of really good work. It's pretty good item holder. Not going to be doing a lot of kills on its own, but should be helping set up things like a Malzahar kill, for example, but gets almost wiped here on this round. The bottom side of the leaderboard here, not struggling per se, but there's definitely a 4-4 gap right now.
100%. Gap is by about 20 HP as well. Oriana showing up in the shot from Tablas. Can go into Kha'Zix from here, I think. BT, IE, pair that with a Last Whisper, perhaps. You know, you got your Kha'Zix items. Not going to be the only Kha'Zix in the lobby, however, so a little bit harder to get that online. But still can pivot this over into something like a, dare I say, Irelia, I guess. Jhin. I think Draven as well. Being able to maybe mutant them wouldn't be the most valuable thing in the world, but it really does come down to what you roll on level 7. I don't think Tablas is in a position where they can, or I guess their name is actually Blasnova, because TA seems to be their like tag, whether it be an org or something. So a Blasnovac here could go into getting one of those AD carries a bit later on.
Okay, so why are there so many mutants on the Convergence? Anyway,
I don't know.
Is this X-Men or is this TFT? But yeah, I'm super curious to see where these Nocturne items are going to go. I actually think it can be moderately difficult moving out of Assassins. I think you can get kind of stuck into keeping them there for longer because there's just 2 of them that you need. But we are going to eventually get rid of both of these Assassins for another unit. There's going to be a couple choices. I mean, this is going to be a tank-based kind of mutant. So in terms of 5 costs, it would actually be really good on something like a Tom Kench. That was a second spat, and you're probably, if you're Blasnovac, a little frustrated because we made that mutant spat. But hey, we might be able to make another one if we get a cloak.
Not too many components remaining, so it's going to be hard to get that. Is still rolling for mutants, so this probably is just going to be a commit. There's the Irelia, there's the Sivir, selling the Draven, though. I guess Irelia is still on the table. There is a Cho'Gath, too. Seems as committing to that 5 mutant route as anybody, and is going to be an Irelia with mutant, with IE, with Bloodthirster as well.
And a Zeke's. It's going to be really nice. Irelia actually benefits really nicely from attack speed. It's like 3 auto attacks at tier 1 for a ult. And something like this particular mutant emblem is going to make Irelia a little bit tankier. It's going to be closer to like a Titan's Resolve type of item than another damage-based item like a Last Whisper. So it's going to give us a little bit more survivability, which is going to help us do a lot more damage as time goes on. But I don't know how this particular mutant comp is going to do against Unstable Evolution mutant comp, which inherently is going to have more stats than your comp. So that's going to be an interesting 1v1, because I don't see how an Unstable Evolution mutant comp loses to a regular mutant comp.
Maybe it's just accelerated in terms of the upgrades that it has found. Maybe itemization diff. We'll have to check in a bit later and see. Let's move on over to Gardo, who is on a 6th loss streak. The Senna is not able to quite get the job done, but it is kind of like you were saying earlier, Boop, Morgana being a fantastic unit, Enchanter pairing with the Senna. These units are generally good. It's not quite good enough here.
Yeah, and I looked up what Blasnovac is, and it's a Serbian thing. So I wonder if we have a Serbian representative here playing right now. It was a restaurant. It looked really good. So Blasnovac was the name of one of their prime ministers back in the day. You learned something new. And Jace is definitely someone who I specifically thought of when I thought of that mutant buff, especially with Unstable Evolution. Because you have the frontline and backline versions of Jace, literally any of the roles for Unstable Evolution is going to work for you.
That is true. I hadn't quite thought of that interaction before, Boop, but I think you're onto something here.
Thank you. You're so supportive.
Of course. I mean, what would I be if not supportive? I'm not gonna flame you here, you know.
I mean, that wouldn't be the first time. I'm just kidding. Gardo now, looking like we have a nice little, almost like Ditto plushie in the background. It's like if Ditto was formed into the Aegon shark.
Yeah, actually. It's like mid-evolution there, mid-transformation.
Yeah.
Just, oh.
So this Senna comp is on the struggle bus.
Yeah.
Hello struggles, I'm Von Fuggles, and it's Gardo who is driving the struggle bus right now. The Senna is fun, but I do think it requires a certain kind of lobby, and a mutant lobby is not that lobby.
Yep.
It's going to be when AP is going to be very strong. So if there's like some Seraphine innovators, even against the Kaisa, it could be really helpful, especially with the heal. But with a mutant heavy comp, I don't think this Enchanter version is going to work. But it's very interesting because I think the same comp and another type of lobby might actually be a top 4 comp. But unfortunately, there's like no AP in this lobby thus far.
I think Gardo is making a mistake right now that a lot of TFT players do recently, and that is the fact that they should be in level 7 jail, but they kind of don't know that they're there. And what I mean by that is there's certain games like this one where you really should just roll it down to level 7 to stabilize, because Gardo right now uses a lot of gold, levels to level 8, and has 17 gold left to do so. So you can't really be making that many board improvements, right? The only thing that's really happening here is you're putting a Sivir 1 in, you're putting Aurelia 1 in, getting 6 Striker for your Senna that's already struggling. It's not like she lacks damage, it's just the whole comp that's lacking right now. The Morgana and the Jarvan frontline aren't going to magically be tankier, the Senna's not going to magically deal enough damage in most cases, versus a weaker board. You know, it might get the job done, but Corley has correctly identified that she's in level 7 jail and has played accordingly, right? Rolled it down, hit the Draven 2, hit these upgrades, and Nardo's board is not going to be strong enough to deal with it, right? So going to go down to about single-digit HP here. I guess actually clearing most of the rest of the board, but Draven should still win it, so still taking losses is just not where you want to be at.
Yeah, wow, Senna overachieving there. And so the difference is, too, just to kind of belabor the point a little bit more, is the difference of the 6 strikers as we get a prismatic augment once I start pontificating about something. We have the 6 strikers versus a Draven 2, right? Which one is better? A trait, or is it going to be investing in a unit's power? The answer is lobby dependent, but it does seem like the roll down at 7 was the right move for Corley, like specifically. So she was doing the right decision making. It might work out here for Gardo. It is a little bit more of a selfish play to get to level 8 and just fingers crossed we hit everything that we need, because we only have a certain amount of gold to work with, and we do, versus 50 gold at level 7, 18 gold at level 8. Think about where the value is going to be. You need more luck one way than the other, and you're going to need more luck on the level 8, which is interesting to think about. It seems counterintuitive. Yeah.
Fortunately, Gardo does hit a couple of pairs. I think the Aurelia is a big one that not only Gardo missed out on, but actually sold an Aurelia to free up the sword to Deathblade the Gnar, which isn't super valuable, honestly. But fortunately, did hit the Sivir, hit the Orianna. Those are gonna be nice. Not able to get a lot of value out of all these augments, though. The Knife's Edge isn't going to be benefiting the Sivir. It should be enough to start winning some rounds, though. Dish Soap is still level 7, going to be pushing 8, so it's a fantastic time to roll into them, because it's going to be pretty much a free win every time.
Senna is a great carry. Unfortunately, we said all these great things about Corley, and we are at 1 HP. She, I believe, got second in the last lobby, so this could be a very precarious situation. At least we did make it to the last PvE round, just barely. But this is another lobby where there's not that much separation outside of, Corley right now.
Yep.
We already saw Randy Fun comp, and it's going to be the mutants, but it's truly this unstable. Oh, and an egg!
Oh.
We got to see it. It's the first ever egg in Fight Night Rising history
go.
in set 6.5. I'm so excited because you can get Radiant items. I got Radiant Rascals gloves for mine once. That was fun. So it's 7 turns?
Yes.
7 turns. So it's a
seven.
stage in a PvE round +1. So, and it is a huge payout, but a lot of people do die before they get there. I don't think it's going to happen in this particular lobby, but I am very excited to see what happens with that golden egg.
Golden egg. We get to look at that when it does indeed hatch. Actually, I don't know. Is it 7 turns? No, I'm second guessing. I don't know.
I want one.
Yeah, well...
Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, right? Wasn't that an egg that she was looking for?
I don't know, to be honest.
Anyway, that's a scary movie. Anyway,
it is.
As we can tell.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
See the mutant, I guess not really mutant, but just the Kazakhs being the carry here, going up against Corley. Draven, can he get the job done? Can he survive? Bloodthirster healing is not enough. Corley goes from 2nd all the way to 8th place here in this game, making game 3 all that much more do or die for her, but we'll see what happens at that point. For now, it is Gardo rolling to the Aurelia 2, trying to now stabilize, trying to get to that top 4. Meet these strong players like Dish Soap. Dish Soap had the Innovator emblem, still does have it. Needs to roll into the Jace, and there Jace is right on time.
You ask and you shall receive. As the Innovator spat will go on. You're going to wait till the very end so people don't realize. Oh.
Assassin, Innovator, Oriana. Definitely the first time I've seen that.
I like Frontline Assassin Jace personally. That's a fun one. It's actually surprisingly a lot of damage. The dragon does the shout, and there's not much that can survive it. This is going to be an 8-unit loss and an elimination. What an awful matchup to go into in that situation, as
-1.
Goofy is going to fall. So Gardo, who did the play that we said we didn't like, still alive, as Corley with the roll down at 7 with 50 gold eliminated. So interesting results there, Khroen.
Definitely interesting results. Gardo's rolls were pretty fortunate. Did take a fortunate only 1-unit loss as well. It has worked out. Identified the lobby wasn't insanely strong. There was an 8 mutant board I just saw. Wait, what?
Okay, so that's how you beat unstable evolution. So that was probably, I think there was a tome for one of them. So that's 3 spatulas that we've used for the mutant emblem. We have
there's the radiant emblem, or the radiant augment, excuse me, that came in there too.
Yes. So we got the 2 extra. So
yeah.
Wow, that's going to be a tanky comp. But Aurelia doesn't actually seem to care all that much right now.
Really doesn't care about much. She's gonna be healing. She's gonna be blade surging through everything.
Not even close. You see all those spats. You see the prismatic chase trait. Even 1 extra. We got extra credit on this board too for Cash Dash. 3 turns though on the egg at 29 HP. We're gonna be 1 round either from opening the egg or dying, I think, right now. And it should open on the PvE round, which is really, really nice. So we have a little bit of extra time to use it. I saw a mutant spat there for a second. No worries, that's an Arcana spat.
Just seeing things now. You're gonna be seeing mutant emblems in your nightmares.
Just practicing for tomorrow.
Yeah.
29 HP now for Cash Dash, and 1 round win guarantees this egg gets opened. And we are going to be running the Aurelia. We have Duet. We started with some orbs to start.
Locket going on the Echo. Seraphine 2 upgrade has been found. The Aurelia doesn't have best in slot items, but at least she's going to have 3 completed ones because of the scrap bonus. Assassin Aurelia does oftentimes get the job done. does do a lot of good work. Seraphine being front line, but that's just because of the Zephyr. The Zephyr might hit the Vex still. Yes, it does.
All right,
That's
so
good.
this did end up going into an Ari comp. It's going to be the JG and the Giant Slayer, and probably one of the worst Victor ults I've ever seen, unfortunately, from Cast Dash. And so now we're at 14 HP. I believe we're cool. If we have one unit taken down on the other side, we should be able to open this egg.
Can I believe still lose up to like 3 units, I think, and be okay, but... Oh no, I'll have to tune into that egg a bit later.
No. Unfortunately.
Hopefully see what that happens, but here we
just
have
got
our...
Heidi Bold.
Okay, here we go. Back to the egg.
Cash stash here. We're definitely going to get the egg as we win the round. Randy fan falling off pretty hard, or maybe I spoke too soon. The Cossacks with the Bloodthirster is there. 2v2.
Should be okay. Yeah.
There it is. Made it interesting. But Cash Dash, deep breath. You were fine anyway, friend. But we're going to get to see what's in this golden egg for the first time ever in Fight Night.
Let's see it. A bunch of gold, 2 Tactician's crowns, and 2 Thieves' gloves. My oh my, Boop. What are we doing here?
A lot of things, and we actually got a pretty okay item. Rapid fire cannon's good attack speed. Unfortunately, we can't put it on the Irelia right now.
Yeah.
And good thing we're not running makeshift armor or anything at the moment. Unfortunately, Thief's Gloves. Oh, but now we have the remover, so everything's possible.
Okay. This opens up a lot of options, actually. It opens up the options for reusing the Zephyr as well on the Seraphine. TG maybe on the Gnar and like the Jin or something, but those were units that don't have to remain on this board. They were kind of just in there because that's what Cash Dash was presented with at the time. It was going to be rolling it all down on level 8 here. I mean, you have 10 units already. You don't need to push 9. Just need to get this board as strong as it can be right now, because that's what's going to guarantee your top 4 finish in the lobby. Jace gets found. So does Jinx. This is a strong board, Boop.
We're going to go ahead and put some items on the Orianna. I mean, double crown. I mean, she probably looks great.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of pixels on the screen, but it seems like Cash Dash is actually struggling a little bit right now. Usually when you open the egg, you want to get that auto win. It's going to be Irelia versus Kha'Zix. This isn't over, friends. I think the Zillion has this.
Yeah.
The Zillion has this. Tier 2. And remember, folks, Cash Dash almost took that Zillion out for the Jace and ended up taking a Singed out instead. So that was almost a not top 4 for our friend here, as Blasnovac, our Serbian friend, probably is in 5th place.
Yeah, Senna 3 is not going to be the choice here for Cash Dash. Cash Dash also typed in the chat, time flies. That's a call to, I think, Robin making the Zillion reroll composition. Love it.
So funny. Time's up, my friends. All right, that's the best when you're playing Zillion, is you just type time's up. When you know it's going to kill someone with the bomb.
That's toxic.
This is probably one of the most traditional comps you can see. I think whenever you see Silco, you think of Victor. And you're going to see a very strong Victor here with Giant Slayer get a pretty early ult. Giant Slayer's all around. We just saw Cash Dash, so this is going to be a little bit more difficult because there's a lot more HP that can go away. But like you said, Victor, not available, and it's going to be up to Ari, who's CC'd while the ult from Silco's there. Cash Dash, that's a big win.
Yep, Power of the Egg coming through in that one. It's a win, and I mean, Ari comp we finally see. I say finally, but it's, game 2. We do see an Ari comp, but it is getting top 4, probably not much further than that. Silco too. I used to, before the Silco nerf, see Silco get really excited. But now I see Silco on someone's board and I get really worried. Like, is it going to be the difference between you, losing the fight? Because
Coralie lost because of Silco earlier today. So a little bit of, I think, anxiety attached to the unit. I haven't seen a Silco throw that hard in a very long time, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Every carry got ulted immediately, and that was the fastest 6 seconds I've seen. 10 HP, 14, 21, 22. Everyone up for a potential lobby win. This is a dragon, though, folks. Giant Slayer should help. Ari's great against a comp like this.
Yep. That she is. If she angles well, she can start hitting the Kha'Zix even before he jumps. He's going to heal back up for the Bloodthirster, but not heal up enough. The Victor cast eliminates the whole back line there.
I do not expect that much of a victory.
Yeah. see what you're doing there. As a couple of people take losses, Dishsoap drops to 4 and Randy Fan drops to 1. Anyone could be eliminated in the next round, Boop. This is really, really tight race.
I actually don't think it's possible for us to hit round 7 with this HP spread.
Yeah, it might
2
not
rounds max. I believe it's 2 eliminations
technically
for sure.
Might.
Unless Cash Dash loses.
Yeah.
Cash Dash has an extra life.
Mm-hmm.
All right, more victors. This Oriana Assassin is still here. Love it. That's what you call innovation.
And she has an Ionic, so she can jump into the back and then debuff the units around her.
And then help support things like the dragon. So we're actually going to move the Silco into the front line on our board. And along with the dragon, we're going to try as hard as we can to get that dragon ult. But this could be another one of those situations where Silco loses a round for us. Because last thing you want is Silco to destroy your dragon before it's able to really get all of its damage and ult off.
Great Shroud there is going to be stopping the Irelia and the Echo for a little while. Kha'Zix is a damage dealer, but he doesn't have guaranteed damage. He's going to be jumping all around. Uh-oh. Cash Dash, the egg. The power of the egg might be a bit too much. Kha'Zix can't do it all. He can't 1v9. Dishsoap probably going 4th. Randy Fan takes 3rd.
1 unit.
Yeah.
This is why we say the early game matters, right? Like, that is literally 1 unit. Say, you know, you didn't level up, right? You went up against someone with 4, you had 3. That's the difference right now. So your early game decisions can matter. And, you know, it might be even from the mid game, but I truly believe that 2 HP, you know, a couple decisions in the early game might have changed that, as these are by far, in my opinion, the 2 strongest comps. A lot of tier 3 power, but there's a lot of Giant Slayer power for Cash Dash because of that egg.
Oh. Actually might not be going Cash Dash's way. Will Silco grief it though? Wow. Cash Dash is going to be exactly lethal there. The power of the egg wasn't enough. Yi is going to win the lobby.
That's a little bit of a rough 2nd place.
Yeah.
That's not going to feel good as a 2nd place. And here we go, Upset Max, running the same thing as we saw a little earlier. 5 innovators. This one's not going to be the dragon version. It is going to be a little bit more on the carry side with the Jace in the back line. And I believe that's very close to best in slot. I know the Giant Slayer IE is something that Jace loves.
Yeah. Definitely does. Here we see an Arcanist board with Leona 3. Very, very interesting. Malzahars are being taken from Max to deny the Malzahar 3 from Ender. Because Ender, I believe, was 1 off. Love that. Denying units. We always want to shout that out, right?
This is the trade sector board as well, which is why we have that tier 3 Camille and Singed and Twitch. Twitch Evaders is here, folks. Twitch was so golden, I didn't quite see him amongst the rest of the gold here on Upset Max's board. 11-7. This is going to be it for Lobby B. Not a lot we can do here, actually, in terms of making our board better, but we can block their board.
Not a ton. The Prismatic is going to be back foot 3. That's why everything's in the back 2 rows here. But this is a really, really good Jace build. Really good Twitch. Obviously, Max has done super well to get here. It's on a 6 streak, so if that's any indicator, probably going to win this round. Hopefully, and close it out versus Ender. You need it.
Probably going to win this round. I agree. But that Leona is pretty tough there. Actually, the only one in the Silco hacks. Going to be taking a lot of damage and also helping out some AP, but there's a lot already going through. It's going to be the Jace with the Giant Slayer. That Leona doesn't really have much to say. Now is Upset Max following a 7th place with a lobby win.
There you go. Upset Max shows that Twitch Evaders is not dead quite yet. You can still reroll and get the dub. Oof. What a game there. We saw the end of that lobby and we watched a lot of Lobby B. But let's go ahead and look at the scores, refresh ourselves, and see where everything is at for that last game. Lobby A was Upset Max and Poison Ender taking the 2nd. Lobby B was Yi taking the win over Cash Dash, and I'm still kind of surprised about that one, Boof. Cash Dash looked like they were super strong, was going to clinch it out there, but not quite.
Yeah, the Golden Egg not quite able to get us to the top 1. Like I said, I think that was actually kind of a brutal second place when you know, the Golden Egg provides so much anxiety as well when it comes to, am I going to be able to get it? I think we're like 1 or 2 rounds from dying before hatching the egg, and you kind of expect to just win after that. It's so much value, but that was not what we saw as Cash Test. It wasn't even close there at the end for that second place, but that's going to be really good placement overall. It's going to be very interesting to see where people like Khroen go because of the kind of polarizing day that she has already had.
Yeah, a couple players having polarizing days. Khroen won, upset Max, and the other lobby in another. So we'll get to see. This game 3 is going to be super, super important as we take a look at the total scores for the day after 2 games. Very, very close, Boop, between these score lines, especially in the middle of the pack. So what lobby are you thinking about checking out for this next game?
I think we should go back to lobby B.
Back to lobby B. They do have a lot of players there in the middle of the pack. Even Dish Soap, Goofy, Randy Fan, Cash Dash, Corley, all these players. I mean, not just even those, but really the ones to focus on that are towards that middle of the pack.
Also, Cash Dash's mustache.
Okay, you're a little biased.
How can you not pick that lobby mustache after that with the Golden Egg as well? I mean, I think Mort is like the only other one with like good enough facial hair. This is an old picture. Look at that.
It is. That's
yeah. I wonder how long was the beard at its max. Do you think?
How long?
Like down here. I feel like it got really long.
Maybe about there. Maybe further. Honestly. Yeah. Probably further than that. I think.
But yeah, Lobby B is going to be interesting because I don't feel like I got enough of the story of Lobby B that last time around, right? We got to see a couple flip-flops, but in terms of players like Corley and some of the other members of the lobby, I'd like to kind of see exactly how they work with, getting a 2nd and then a 7th and moving forward, because when you're on that, 8th place bubble, sometimes that 4th and that extra point is how you get there, right? And again, it's not just top 4 for each lobby, it's a top 8 total.
Yep. Like a top 8 total, and you gotta be amongst those top 8s to get into the finals where our point values are doubled. Still one more game, Boop. Talking about the trends that we've seen, the meta, things like that. Twitch evaders, not dead. Seen some Ari as well, got into the top 4. So we're seeing a little bit of variance here, which is always healthy, always nice for a patch, especially with a very important tournament on the horizon for this weekend, right? Going to be looking towards the Challenger Series, and it's always the case where trends that we see here on Fight Night, players know what's going on. They're watching, they're seeing what works, and they're going to be pulling that out on the big stages as well. So we get to see a little bit of preview,
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm super excited for this weekend, not only because you'll see my face on the broadcast, but overall the meta seems to, it's interesting. I don't remember if there was ever been a meta where like different packages within the same comp are competing against each other in these lobbies. You've got the Seraphine innovators. We saw Senna with Enchanters, for example. So the carries within certain compositions are changing, but they're both innovator compositions, for example. So I don't remember the last time that's happened, but it's been happening a lot today with mutants. For example, we've seen a Malzahar carry, I believe. We've seen a couple Kaisas do really well. Overall, Mutants kind of crushing it today.
Yeah, a lot of Kha'Zix too. Multiple
Kha'Zix
in multiple games with like the RFC, IE, BT builds. There was one like Edge of Night, but yeah, these Kha'Zixes have been kind of running rampant. It's not the most consistent of carries. If you roll into it, it can be fine. It can be your direction. It's generally not going to first place lobbies though with a Kha'Zix focus. I don't think we've actually seen that at all. The mutant comps that we have seen have been like Kaisa focused that have taken lobbies, but hey, it could happen. It's just relatively unlikely. Did see some Irelia focus there as well. I think it was from Cash Dash. Yeah, the Assassin IE Irelia. And speaking of Cash Dash, we get to see them again. Of course, Boop, I'm sure you're happy about this one.
He probably takes care of his mustache better than I take care of my entire body. I can almost guarantee it.
Damn.
I know, right? Hello, everyone. I'm gross. Anyway, Cash Dash now. Let's see. We have the Crit Glove opening with the brand. Crit Glove is one of the most open openers, for example, and it's all damage based too. So if you're not really someone who worries about that front line in the early game, go ahead and start with that Crit Glove.
Yep. Love Crit Glove. I feel like I'm a little bit of broken record today about Irelia, but love starting Glove and talking about her because I think the best items there are going to be, you know, IE, Last Whisper, and Quicksilver. All of them require gloves. Certainly going to be an option here, but Cash Dash gets a pair of Ezreals as, yeah, you should always pick up Ezreals in the first shot because of how good these innovators are in this meta. Even if you don't get innovators, right, you can just play scraps. You can have Ezreal carry and pretty much any items, mostly AD items, but here you don't really have anything that you want to slam. Unfortunate items, I would say, here for Cash Dash.
Ooh, might be a good time to go Treasure Trove then.
Yeah.
For literally exactly what you just said. A Gray Loot Orb is money, and that's something that I think a lot of people undervalue. They see Gray and they're like, oh, that doesn't feel that good, but it's money. It's a unit, potentially. And now we have over 10 gold because of it.
Mm-hmm. Sell these for 11. Maybe if another orb, well, another orb will come through. If it drops like a Gangplank, then you can consider keeping the MF and playing Mercenaries or Quinn.
Yeah, I actually, it was the weirdest Merc game ever. I got my Gangplank, my Misfortune, and my Quinn before round 2-1. Could not find a Lowy to save my life. I don't know what happened there. It was a lot of orbs there. I think I had like a ton of gold too. It was a top 4. Nice. Anyway, enough about me and more about these guys. It might be able to run Merc if this is a Gangplank. No, but it is a second Morgana. There's a lot of gold on this bench, and we have a tier 2 Ezreal now. This is actually one of those situations where we might have too much of a good thing, right? We have no items. It would have been really great to have some direction there. We could technically put a Jeweled Gauntlet on some of our units here. It's not that great on the Morgana. It could be okay on something like the Misfortune, but you're gonna have to force the Misfortune in. But we do pick up the Alawi, so if we get Quinn, we might see a little bit of a pivot here because the Ezreal can stay in the Merc comp.
At what point are you too flexible, I think, is the dilemma that Cash Dash is running into right now. There's like 4 different options here. There's the Morgana lean, there is Ezreal Innovators, there is Mercenaries between the Alawi and the Misfortune, and there's Debonaires as well. Being held on this bench and board combined. Cash Dash loses, is not making econ, did not sell a 10 gold, rolls into Debonair VIP Talon, however. That might be direction that he wanted. No, not looking like it.
Oh man, we're doing a Montgomery Burns cosplay right now. We're being a little greedy.
Very greedy.
Yeah, you're right. Not a little. This is very greedy. I like to push money in the early game.
Oh yeah.
These units are going to be really good, but I think you're going to make up that money with the units by win streaking, for example. So I would definitely hit 10 gold. And what's actually crazy, we might be able to push something close to 20 with that bench, as this is looking like a potential mutant comp once more. We have socialites already. With the Senna. The Senna did all right on the last lobby. Wasn't a very friendly lobby for Senna, but still, I think did okay.
Was indeed okay, probably at best. Not able to kill that Leona there, unfortunately. No item slams here as well. I'd say, speaking of Senna, another one here in the shop.
Are we going to pick it up? Though, we have the Mutant 2 already. This is probably 2 of the best socialite hexes you could ask for.
Oh yeah, it's Duet. Duet's so good. I think it is actually like the best silver augment.
Well, and you also get health from it, right? You get 200 health from this one?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a lot of health in the early game. Health is the main defensive factor in the early game. So if essentially 400 extra health that the opponent has to go through. And for someone like Senna who has internal healing, that's going to be a little bit harder to do. And you're going to be, getting mana with the socialite bonuses. This is going to be a Senna win, but by how many units? That was literally the worst Ziggs ult I think I've ever seen, and that is saying something. Where was that going?
I don't know. Ziggs just closes his eyes and throws and just prays.
Like there wasn't even a unit there. I don't I don't know.
Welcome to Ziggs.
I don't know. He's that friend who shows up to your intramural games, like to not play but to have fun. Right.
Is Ziggs even having fun though?
Right? Or like, you know how everyone else is taking it seriously,
Yeah.
and Ziggs is the person that's
Which
like, it's
doesn't
just a
care.
game.
Yeah, just actually
Right?
zero cares.
Yeah, that's like, if I'm in a competition and there's someone like that on my team, you can break me. That is how you can break a Boopasaurus. Because I'm such a tryhard. Once I get into those things, the second someone goes like, it's just a game, I'll just like, start crying or something like that. It's not just a game. As Blasnovac, 100 HP. Look at that transition. We have the GA option. We have good components, but no good items right now.
Syndicate Heart. And the only Syndicate here was the Zyra. Now at least there's a Darius, but with the opening of a tier, Rod as well, these are already halfway to perfect Ahri items. Just need to get there. Oh, okay, making a Shojin. Okay, Shojin is workable for Ahri, not what you'd expect, right? Usually it's gonna be blue buff. So the decision to slam that, I'm not really sure how I feel about that one for Blasnovac, because you could just say, hey, the Syndicate augment is useless, I'm not going to go that direction. But it's probably not going to be the case, right? If you pick it, you're probably going to try to go Syndicate. It's probably going to try to go Ahri.
I actually think the motivating factor for the Shojins was this win streak.
I mean, I agree. Yeah. It's still not coming through.
That was probably like the worst option for an item to go. And when you lose like that, you've committed to the Shojins, right? It's there. You can't really do anything unless you get a Reforger somehow. And you can't depend on that. So we're in a little bit of an awkward position. Shojins is useful on almost everybody, but like is like the vanilla of vanilla when it comes to what you can use with it a lot of the time. Sometimes you don't even know if it's working. It's like one of those, like Celestial Blessing 1. I'm not sure it actually works. But this Shojin, it's going to be okay. You usually like to see it on things like Oriana, which might be the case a little bit later, as this comp is nowhere near going anywhere right now.
It's 2 Sejuani's. The only buffs that are here are like Bruiser, and I guess you could say Socialite, right? Because the Senate is benefiting from it. But 20 gold, that's going to be more of what Blasnovac is focusing on right now, because not able to carry out this streak with power level. Had to sell the Darius though, so we're even again further away from the Syndicate pivot.
Well, you know, if you really think about it, the Syndicates you need are Ahri and Morgana, right? Those are like the 2 most important.
Yeah,
when you're running it,
I suppose.
Yeah, and those are a 2, 4, and a 3 cost. So maybe we're kind of just throwing it away until the late game, because it's gonna be actually easier to get 2 Syndicates at level 6 and 7 than it ever will be, potentially at level 1 or 2. Ashe is a good possibility, but I don't think that's where we're going to end up going, especially with this Shojins. And we already have a Rod, so this has got to go into an Ahri direction, in my opinion.
Definitely will. Move over to Goofy, who is level 6 already because of that Hyper Roll augment. They're going to be making a lot of money when you spend it, but is naturally able to go back 20 gold anyway, so not too shabby. Farming money with Yordles as well as still maintaining 100 HP. Look at all the synergies. This is probably as many synergies as you can actually, have at stage 2. 6 whole active synergies. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, the speed run is almost complete. We have okay items here. I love Bramble, just in general. There's not as many IEs in general, but it's still a good item for any auto attack based opponent. We could red buff it if we want. We don't have a Morello, so it might be the only way we can get some of that burn, but it's going to be the Bramble. There's been a good amount of auto attacking. It works really well against the IE Draven, for example, but we'll see what happens at the end of the game. We are at 100 HP running Yordles with money too, which is not the most common thing in the world, so we're rolling in the dough, and it's great too because we get to level up and keep rolling, which is just fun. Right, I love this augment because you just get to press more buttons.
Yeah, you do. You get to press the F key a lot, and with that, put the Echo in, who is a scrap, so gets to make use out of the belt. As soon as the belt was put on the Echo, you knew exactly what Goofy was doing. Maintaining the streak, and I always like to point it out, Boop, bullying the lobby. That is a 7-0, a 7-unit loss there for Blasnovac, and that accelerates the lobby, forces people to roll down faster than they would like, and is going to put a lot of pressure on everybody else.
Yeah, 7. unit lobby. When the Swain survives, you know you're kind of struggling.
Yeah, nothing was killed. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, 92 HP in second place. Coralie now had a really great first lobby, but has struggled a little bit in the next two. We're at 46 HP. We chose the Enchanter Augment. So we're going to do really well against RE comps and Hextech comps, actually, if you're running the Lucian. But we have Syndicates online, it looks like, here. We're going to be moving that way. But we do have Lucian, and Lucian can... Jewel Gauntlet on Lucian is very good.
Actually, I like the direction that Coralie is taking with rolling on level 6 here. Sometimes you kind of have to stabilize, as Nico's help, right, if you get a pair of 4 costs. But honestly, I think maybe should have rolled a little bit more, because this board is still, unfortunately, not strong. I guess it's okay, because you're kind of never going to beat Goofy anyway. It's just how many units you kill. In a last round, it was a 7-0. This is a 6-0, as Coralie drops to some very dangerous HP totals here. 34. The next lowest is 70. Okay, now it's going to be 61, but it was 70 there for a second. Still 30 HP behind. Coralie has a lot of catching up to do, and hopefully the next few rolls can do it. I think you still got to keep rolling from here.
Oh, you did not want to see these. It's got to be Ludens.
Yeah, Ludens isn't like the worst, but yeah, certainly not the best.
It's flat damage, right? It's another one of those that guarantees something. At least Exiles might be okay. If we hadn't already built the Chalice, it probably could have been Exiles, but it's going to be Hextech instead. So we actually might commit to this Hextech direction now.
Oh, Lucian. There's already 5 Lucians, so
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And we have the Nikos. Yep, we're going there. The blue buff is going onto the Lucian. I like EJG on the Lucian. Not really something you see every day, but some people have started to try to make the Lucian carry work, since Sivir is a little inconsistent. Understatement. Can be very inconsistent when it comes to the game right now.
That's the Naren. Utilizes the Socialite Hex. Coralie knew where it was. That's why the Lucian is positioned where he is. Good Striker in as well. Swain 2. Nice. Frontline upgrades, exactly what Coralie needed. Just buy time for Lucian to deal damage, because Lucian doesn't have a lot of damage with him right now. It's just the blue buff and a little bit of Chalice AP. See if we can get the job done. Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah. To kind of just say, you know what, nothing's working, and this augment gives me direction, right? Sometimes that's just enough, and the Lucian is in its strongest power point, like right now. So let's go ahead and get that value. Let's redo our economy, so we might be able to do another pivot later, but we're also keeping this Lucian open, because Lucian 3, again, can really do work, especially with the right itemization, if there isn't any like highly defensive comps out there. So Brambles are going to be really hard for him, but if like it's just a bunch of raw HP, that's when Lucian can really start doing work.
Garda's kind of pulling a Soju, just slowly declining, slowly, being, I guess, falling off of the camera angle there as the games go later.
Above the Influence commercial where her sister was like that? It was like that flat girl on the sofa. I'm sure people in chat remember that. Yeah!
I see this flat girl on the sofa. That does ring a bell.
Like, anyway. Do you know those commercials actually really worked, by the way? Here's that factoid.
Oh, wow.
They actually were super effective in terms of our generation.
That makes sense,
cigarettes.
I think.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anyway, I'm full of factoids, friends. Garda, now with the Hextech Gunblade Shoujins, now we're looking at a Shoujins user that can really find value from that particular item, and it's going to help with the Hextech Gunblades, who we're constantly feeding health to units that need it, like the Morgana if we're wanting to get a second or third ultimate.
Yeah. Morgana 2, not too many items on her, just a vest for now. Going up against another Lucian player. That's going to be Blaznivak. With some only upgraded units on that board are the Scholars. And there are some good Scholars at that, though. Throwing the Morgana into the corner, huge. Stunning everything with the Zyra, also pretty big, just not quite good enough. Those units were not enough.
Yeah, interesting that we're seeing Lucians all of a sudden. Unfortunately, Coralie losing again. Losing with Lucian. Something that I do think can work. It's just we don't have the items. After this PvE round that Coralie, thank goodness, is going to be able to make it, she's definitely going to have to make a decision on what to run there. Because if you do commit to Lucian, that's a totally different item set than something like Sivir for the same kind of Hextech comp. Which brings us back to what we talked about earlier. Different packages of the same comp.
see a lot of people running Yordle package right now as well. Like half the lobby.
I feel like if you're like delivering the Yordle package, they're that delivery driver that says they knocked 3 times and then makes you go to the post office. That's how I feel like delivering Yordles.
That's the biggest tilter. I'm tilted now hearing it.
The Morgana, though, again gets thrown. The Syndra is saying, go to your room. It's going to be a pretty big Morgana ult, but Morgana doesn't do... Is it going to ult? Yes. Enough damage to fight through the rest of this comp as Cash Dash takes the dub there.
Cash Dash takes the dub. Only has 20 gold, though, so probably rolled a little bit
start, remember?
on... yeah, rough start. Probably rolled a little bit to stabilize. And I mean, I like it. Has 76 HP. Is on a win streak, so can recover that gold. Now we see rolls into an Echo 2 as well. Corley, 21 HP on Wolves. Those are like some Jose Paulo numbers back when we saw him re-roll for some Nocturnes. I mean, Corley's doing a similar thing though, re-rolling for a 3 cost, right? It just win. Are you gonna find the Lucian 3? Only needed 3 Lucians when we last checked in with her.
Because we have Amigos.
Yep.
All right, we should be getting a good amount of items here for Gardo as well. These would be great items for Corley. The JG would be really, really nice. The Shroud's really nice too if you want to build that onto someone. We also have a QSS if we want it. It's going to be Bramble onto the Morgana. Great choice. Yep. Bramble, one of the best frontline units. I don't think I've messed up on that yet today, by the way.
I know. I'm
I know.
So
You proud of me?
Actually,
this is hashtag growth.
I notice it every single time, and I'm just like, oh, nice.
As Malzahar finally gets tier 2, that's a huge upgrade for us in terms of potential damage. But it's a little bit more on the supporty side with the Hextech Shojins. But the Rabadons is going to help. Everyone gets shrouded, though. That's unfortunate.
Or does get shrouded. This is a 4 Bruiser plus an Ahri carry comp from Yi on the other side there. A couple of socialites as well between the Seraphine and the Senna, and it's gonna be enough to get through Gardo's comp pretty easily, in fact.
Yeah, losing to an Ahri comp like that is actually pretty rough. That's a slow going comp. You're going to see Ahri win by 1 unit, probably more than most other comps can do that with, and losing like that is pretty rough, especially with a Morello's Ahri. Did get 4 ults off. Oh yeah, but this is Duet. Great augment. We get some extra health and some extra mana generation too. And once we get our 3rd one, we're going to help with some HP generation as well, which is going to compensate for our lack of Syndicate.
Exactly. The lack of Syndicate is, I would say, worrying here, but you mentioned there is another out. Cash Dash hits a Blitzcrank 3. No one expected that one.
Oh my goodness, did you see Mort's post that a Blitzcrank 3 beat his Galio 3?
I did. I voted on that, and I didn't think it would, actually. I voted for the Galio on that one, but I was surprised. And then I voted for the Zeri in the next one, and I was wrong both times.
Yeah, and if you don't sell your whole board after you get a tier 3 cost unit, you're just throwing. You don't know how to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, hey, what are you gonna do?
You're just throwing instead of actually throwing. 41 HP in the middle of the lobby, right? And like you said, because of the bullying at the beginning of this lobby, look at the separation of HP. There's very low HP totals for actually a lot of people right now. 41 being the mid-tier is very low at 4-3. And honestly, on the top end, they haven't really pushed that advantage as much as I think they could. Right now, Cash Dash, who did have a little bit of a rough start, like you said, rolling into that Blitzcrank 3, a little bit of luck and some good strategy helping us out there. This comp, I think, has an opportunity to really do some work once we do get another item, but because of the Morellos, we don't have the opportunity to do like IEJG. We are probably going to hope for a couple large rods, or maybe even a Hextech Gunblade here to make her a little bit more utility-based.
I was going to say Gunblade may be the out here that he has to slam after this next carousel. We'll see if they lose the round, what carousel pick they're going to be at, because that's going to matter a lot. Up against Goofy. Goofy has an Irelia. Not great items, though. Just a Quicksilver and a Runeans. I don't think it's going to end up doing enough damage. Maybe I speak too soon, though. If Ari can get more casts off, she can secure the win. And yeah, it looks like it.
Like I said, Irelia doing exactly what I do when I see a buffet.
Dash around to everything and
just charge right into it.
Okay.
Man, I love buffets. It's like One of
Uh,
Boopasaurus at a buffet is like one of the greatest visuals you'll ever see in your life.
I used to like buffets, but now I hate them because I just never get any value because I eat like 2 bites and I'm full. So it's just
Oh,
like...
I do. I get value. Let me tell you. Corley, though, getting some value out of that Lucian. I don't know if we tier 3'd it just yet, but we are on fire. Yi also in the middle of the lobby. The top side of the lobby is starting to worry me a little bit. I think they did push a little bit of an advantage, but I think we're starting to tighten up once again, and naturally will tighten up between 5-1 and 6-1. It's just kind of where you fall at the end of that really matters, because everyone on fire now might start losing at 5-1 when the top of the lobby has leveled up again, and maybe even tier 2 to 4 costs at that point in time. As just when I say the Goof Troop, Goofy, in second place right now, does level to 8. And when you level to 8 at 4-5, that kind of tells us that you're really pushing for that win on that next round.
Yep. Same with Yi as well. Levels to 8, rolls down, hits a Silco, doesn't hit any Aries, however. I love Silco buffing frontline units. And I was gonna say Zac before the Zac was pushed or moved out of that. I think Zac getting some early CC can make or break a fight. We see another Warwick 3. This time it's Randy Fan, though. It's getting a little bit more value than who was it who ran that? I think Otenrab ran that in the first game. Let's see what this Warwick can do. Can it still
QSS
hang on? So nice. I think it can.
Yeah, I think it is too. Silco buffs.
Yep.
Oh man, phony frontline and Silco, that could actually be a little bit of a throw. But you're also seeing how itemization is pretty big. Oof. Knife's Edge, Golden Ticket, Radiant Relics, all good for this particular comp. Too much of a good thing again. These aren't
bad.
Yeah. Okay, so the augment choice is what I was talking about, not the definitely not these choices.
Getting a radiant item for the frontline, fantastic. There is 0 frontline items here, and there are no item slots available for this Ahri. Takes an Ahri item anyway.
We're going to have to, I think, risk it.
I
probably would have just had the Ahri with the JG in as we tier 2'd it, if that was possible. Oh, we might be able to put in the Victor now.
Victor, yeah, that's another out here. Can we get there? Yes, we can. Doesn't put it in, however. I mean, is kind of my perpetual state after seeing Yi's board basically this whole entire game, since it was Bruiser and an Ahri carry. It's like, can this work? I suppose it could theoretically. It's weird. It's a little bit awkward, but I mean, sure, set 6 allows that to happen, allows that to be fine. I don't think this glamorous Gauntlet Seraphine is going to be fine enough, though. Maybe it will be. Maybe the tanky frontline is good enough, but Silco is going to start killing off his own units, and again with the target dummies.
Oh, wow. There is no damage coming in from a Dish Soap's team comp. Oh, that's Cash Dash.
Yeah.
Dish Soap was just watching. Wow, literally, that is like a wet noodle fight if I've ever seen one in TFT at that moment in time. That was interesting. Now we have the damage here. We got the same it looks like item choice that we have here, but it's going to be the Radiant Trap Claw, or it is going to be the Banshees. So it is going to get everyone, I believe, right? The CC immunity there.
CC immunity as well.
And Trap Claw, where did that come from?
Andy Fan gonna be leveling to 8 here. Gets Shiv on a Quinn, not the best of options. I mean, Randy Fan has played this early game, I think, very well. The 5 Chemtech, the forward challenger. It's going to be how slow the bleed out's going to be. Cash Dash rolls into Talon 3. A bunch of people are leveling, finding upgrades, things like that. Corley's finding more upgrades. Corky too. Randy Fan's going to fall off, right, Boop? It's just a matter of, how long can you hang on for?
This Radiant item is very nice for this particular comp, though. Anytime you have challengers in your comp, and it seems like we are anchoring that damage onto the challengers, any type of immunity or CC help is going to be so big for us, because we don't have it in another direction. I mean, the Warwick does, but now the Tryndamere can start really pushing in some damage, as this Edge of Night not going to be helping our illusion all that much. It's just going to be delaying the departure of this train, as this
Poorly.
Warwick is doing very, very good. And when reroll comps, like I said, sprint out earlier and able to maintain, that's why we're seeing these eliminations so much earlier than some of our other lobbies.
Yep, we do indeed. Eliminations very, very quickly. Beginning of stage 5, very early for 2 players to be eliminated. Corley rolled it down, did not hit the Lucian 3, unfortunately, and that was a good matchup for Randy to run into. His other players are going to be a bit stronger, though. This doesn't tell the whole story.
How long is this comp going to be able to be this successful for? Usually at round 5-2, you kind of see this comp struggling, but the double Titans seems to be working really, really well. It's 50 extra damage, but also 50 extra defense.
Yep.
And we get to ramp up with the QSS here as well. We're already at that 25. The Socialite, Seraphine, going to be able to get us some attack speed along with some health. We do get another win. Anything past stage 5-1, I feel like, is a great get for this particular comp.
It's almost like it's a 50-50. It's like, oh, okay, you know, good fight. You won the 50-50, won the coin toss. Warwick won a fight. So this is pretty much a guaranteed top 4 from this point, for certain. And that's a lot more than we could say about the Odin Rebs Warwick version earlier. So this composition isn't just doomed to fail always. I think this is, with the addition of the Innovators as well, actually, is a very, very nice splash. That taunt to take aggro away from the Warwick, allow him to build up some time to build those Titan stacks. And being in the social attacks. Yeah,
Yi got that Victor 2 during that roll down. Castash got the Leona 3. That's something that the Warwick can get stuck on. But with... Oh, man, this is so interesting here with the double Titans. I think a lot of people have moved away from stacking items for some reason, but the double Titans is going to be very easy to stack. But this Assassin setup might be how we break through. It doesn't actually look like the Warwick is struggling at all right now.
This Warwick has eaten his Wheaties or something. These are not the Warwicks I'm used to seeing. Finally does bleed out from the Talon, but has done enough work.
Has it? It's funny, what you're seeing right now is just the damage fall off when Warwick is gone, right? Warwick is gone, all of a sudden there's like a potential, you know, second wind, not the augment, but second wind for the opponent there, and that did almost happen as we're slowly but surely seeing this Warwick fall off. We do have a challenger spat here, though. Wonder if Randy's going to go after it.
Maybe? There's not that many options left, so yeah, I was gonna go for it. Probably better than anything else left there. Means that if you want to, we can take out a challenger, or I think the other option is push to level 9 and play 6 challengers. And yep, we're already starting to put XP into level 9, and that's gonna be the play. Love it. We can find a Kaisa. She can do some work. She can replace these Quinn items.
Man, Quinn's just that unit that you just itch to get rid of, man. Very Velcro unit is what I like to call it. One that, you know, is just there to hold on for a particular splash synergy or for some items. Just give it to someone else a little later. But we could go Challenger 6 if we wanted to, like you said. I don't know if the buff from Challenger 4 to Challenger 6 at this point in time is going to be like... That's a lot of damage. Super game-changing, but with this Warwick, you never know, because I love this Warwick right now. It is the year of the dog.
Yeah, apparently. It takes out Gardo. Gardo finishes in 5th.
It even seems like Randy fans a little surprised.
I know. It's just like every third round, it's like a smile and laugh. It's like, oh, this Warwick's still killing stuff. You know, nice. Good job, Warwick.
Yeah, and it's a great... It feels good to win that way, too. You almost feel like you're stealing.
Yeah.
Right? Or like you're taking candy from a baby or something like that. As we do get very, very close to level 9. We're still on fire. We have an enormous lead right now in the lobby. Almost double second place.
Kind of crazy. Would think this would fallen off, right? We go to stage 5, we're like, okay, when's Warwick gonna lose? I guess he isn't. Spoiler alert. There is a Victor 2, however, now with that Glamorous Gauntlet, that could still one-shot this Warwick, and yeah, we're gonna see that matchup right now, Boop.
Even with the double Titans, the Glamour's Gauntlet might be enough. The Shroud falls onto a couple units that don't really need mana. And the stacking of this Warwick actually not at 25 just yet, didn't hit 25 before the Victor ult went off. I don't think it would have mattered, but you know, little by little, things are going to really start mattering, especially with that Giant Slayer. The Titan's Resolve not going to help with that either, going up against the Giant Slayer, as now we're moving on to try to get some even more power now. We're helping our Thomas, and all eyes on this Victor, really.
Yeah. Yi has made this work out. Ari was just to steer us in another direction and to hold items for this Victor. But getting the Victor 2 on 8, not always something you can rely on. Fortunately for Yi, was able to do it. Because, yeah, this Victor can one-shot both boards right now. If the cast is good, Renata is going to be there and hopefully upgraded soon as well. Vi upgrade comes through. We get everything right now. Not quite. Oh, actually rolled past the Tahm Kench. Thought Tahm Kench would have been picked up, but no, really just wants to find this Renata as fast as possible because she does have 3 items on her. Really wanted to do work.
Sometimes I get like a little paranoid that Tahm Kench is going to eat my item for some reason when I when I put it on. You know how sometimes like when you're desperate, you're like, do something, break the game, and it never happens for you. But we've got Blitzcrank 3 versus the World. Cash Dash has a good amount of HP remaining versus Randy Fan, but it's Warwick 3. We've got Talon 3 here, and Victor. That was not the best Victor ult in the world, but I think enough damage had been done as there's not really... Oh,
it didn't take
a ton of damage left on the board, but that Talon actually overachieving a little bit. Some rough Victor ultimates there for Yi.
Yeah, even with the rough ultimates though, it was still a round win, which makes me think once a good ultimate comes in there, yeah, that's going to destroy the whole board, and Yi's going to keep this win streak going. So I wouldn't be really too worried about that. I think if I were Yi, even though these socialite hexes are kind of scary, right? They're telegraph where you want your Talon to jump. They telegraph things like Blitzcrank hooks and shrouds and zephyrs. A Banshee's Claw is going to help versus some of that, and Victor just being as strong as he is and having that 4 bruiser front line is going to do the rest. So I think this is going to be more of the same. This should be another round win here for Yi.
Very curious to see what happens if the Warwick's able to get to that 25 before the Victor ult and survives it because of it with the Chemtech. So a second ult won't be survivable. Doesn't even get there. It's the Silco that takes it out, as we actually have the Ghost here right now. Looks like the Warwick loses both rounds. Oh, maybe not. It's going to be Zeri versus Warwick.
That's close.
All right, the Warwick is going to take it. Castash cannot seem to break through this dog right now.
That is kind of still surprising, though. We're middle of the way through stage 6. Warwick still winning rounds. Not exactly what you'd expect, but I guess when you're able to push level 9, things like that, you know, you're kind of chilling. Yi is doing a little complaining in chat why they're not able to find a Renata. That's okay.
To Yi or not to Yi? That is the question for this lobby. It's going to be Victor that is going to decide how this goes, right? We've already seen Victor kind of throw a couple ults, but we were strong enough anyway. I haven't really seen the other comps get that much stronger. A little surprised this Talon still hasn't moved a little bit closer to the Victor. But it does avoid the Tahm Kench, who gets Silca ulted first. We're only going to get 1 item out of it, potentially.
Talon dodges some of these crucial ultimates, but gets stuck on the Vi. The Vi's down the back line. I think actually the
Syndra threw it.
Syndra threw the Vi back there, so Talon's like, oh, thanks, Syndra. Griefing me now have to go through an extra unit to get to the real target. Not what you wanted to see there. Anti-synergy.
14, 14, 11. Now, this is probably the most crucial carousel. There are some good items here. The Thief's Gloves is kind of nice. We got the Rabadon's Death Cap. That's going to be really nice, just flat AP. There doesn't seem to be a ton of defensive-oriented items right now outside of just one frontliner. Like in this comp, for example, like straight Rabadons might be good enough to try to get through it.
We see the frustration in the mouse movement here for Yi. Oh,
there
finally,
it is!
And the excitement in the mouse movement there.
It was to Yi.
Oh my god.
Maybe
Even going as
not to
far.
Yi for the lobby.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yi, I mean, I don't want to like take too much stock into this, but definitely an emotional player, right? You have a Victor 2 already on level 8 with perfect items. Like, you know, you can't always get everything you want.
And
Renata
a
being a
4-game
Renata
win
1.
streak.
Yeah, and a 4 win streak. It's like, it's not like you're losing rounds back to back to back. You're still winning. Probably gonna win the lobby anyway, even without this a Renata upgrade. But gets it, very excited about it, pings it, and probably gets to close out the lobby with it. We'll see here in a second.
This might be a double elimination based on
Yeah.
how good these Victor ults are. Double Death Cap Challenger Zeri, though. That can be pretty tough. Tom Kench eats her, no problem.
Double kill.
Yep, this should be a double kill. There it is.
Yi takes game number 3 with that decisive, I would say really decisive finish there with the Victor. The Renata had played the Ahri board as a just pivot point to get there. I was like, oh, are we gonna still stick with this Ahri? No, okay, Ahri Bruiser is a little weird, but no, it was just a Victor the whole time. Just a little bit of a costume there, and hey, with that, again, dominant round win.
So also, I want to bring us back to the fact that when we originally got that glamorous gauntlet, it was not good. That was a situation that we did not like to see, but we made it happen. We got the victor there, as we do get to take the roster down by half from this point on.
With that, we get to see which members do make it forward and which do not, as we take a look at the scores. First, just from the last lobby, taking a look what happened in lobby A, the lobby we did not see. Wizard got first, Gimao Kaye second, Ender third, Hooper fourth. Max, actually the defending champion of last week, did get fifth, so I'm not sure it's gonna be enough. Interesting stuff. Anything else that stands out to you, Boop, here in this?
Not as much as Kane Drew and Upset Max kind of having a little bit of a hard time there at the end. Upset Max did win the last lobby with Twitch evaders of all comps, but I did also see that apparently there was an Irelia 3 from Rokuyo that got 7th. So you don't really see that very often.
That is yikes, crazy. Don't like. Oh man. All right. Let's go ahead and look at who's going to be making it into the final lobby. Boop. It's going to be the left side players there. 17 points was the threshold, and right behind that was Max and Dish Soap. 2 players that if you showed me this whole pool, right, I would have said, yes, I think Max is top 8 for sure, and yes, I think Dish Soap's going to be top 8 for sure as well.
I totally agree with you, and what's actually very insane about what just happened is before we got to this game, we were like, I think that extra point for the 4th is going to be super important, right? And what did Upset Max lose? We got 5th. We did not get the extra point, and we lose out on the top 8 because of it. Kane Drew sneaks in, is someone who's returning from last week, Poison Ender as well. So we do lose 50% of our returning players going into the final lobby, which, you know, we're keeping our points, and points are double.
Points are going to be doubled, so as always, it's going to throw a huge question mark into the air, right? If players can come out of that game number 4 swinging, they're going to be in a good spot. I think the point gap is going to be 9 points between 1st and 8th right now, but that could all change in just one game. We're going to have to wait a little bit to get to that game, however, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Fight Night Rising just after this. Welcome back to Fight Night Rising. Khroen and Boop here to bring you the finals of this week. We have 8 wonderful players that, played in a few grueling matches to make it here. Some players that we didn't expect to be here are here. Some players who we expected to be here are not. That's just the way TFT goes. But Boop, looking forward to this game. What are you going to have your eyes on? Anything, that'll come out that we haven't been expecting today in terms of comps? Maybe anything we haven't seen? Or is it probably going to be more of the same, more of the innovators, mutants, and things of the like?
I'm very surprised at how much mutant play that we've seen so far today.
Yeah.
I think it's been every lobby, at least someone running mutants. Someone ran 8 mutants. That was an extra to a little earlier. In,
Any 9 mutant
4th. Yeah, or 3rd. But the thing that I'm actually looking forward to is seeing if we get some more Draven. So Draven got 8th in one lobby, and I think got 2nd in another. And in Inno, I believe Draven was like one of the top 3 comps throughout the entire weekend. So we've seen the Draven VIP do work. It does require some items. I don't think the itemization on Draven is completely settled just yet, because he can hold on items as like a type of a unit. Like we saw the double giantslayer Draven absolutely do work that one time. So definitely gonna see if we're gonna see a little bit more debonair, and if we're ever gonna see a brand or a brand reroll again, because that was crushing it last week too.
It was crushing it. Did, I believe, get nerfed in the recent patch, however, so it's gonna be a little bit less effective, of course. And when TFT players all see a change come through, usually they're like, oh, okay, it's trash now, it got nerfed, you can't do it. I mean, I guess it's one of the two extremes, right? It's either oh, it's trash, I can't play it, or I don't know what else to run, so I'm just gonna run that because that's what I'm used to running from last patch. But it's never out of like, oh, I still think this thing is good.
I mean, we literally just saw Twitch Invaders win a lobby.
That's true.
2 lobbies ago. So again, anything can happen, and so definitely looking to see if we're gonna get any other versions of reroll. Like I still think there's some opportunities for like 3 cost rerolls. For example, I guess that technically wouldn't be a reroll comp. That would just be getting to your tier 3 cost unit, which doesn't seem to be as popular as in days past. We saw a little bit of it with the Lucian this last time around, and it did not work. So if there is a 3 cost unit that is going to carry Khroen, what do you think it's going to be?
A 3 cost unit that's going to carry? My heart immediately wants to say Gnar. But yeah, not quite sure it's going to...
See?
Yeah, it's going to be that.
They're just, in the past, like, it used to be Kindred, right? You just 3-star the Kindred and you're good to go. 3 costs used to be something that you can 3-star to try to get you to the victory if you can't find it another way. It's a nice conciliatory type of situation. But as we move forward, definitely looking for these Dravens to pop up.
Yeah, I think to fully answer the question, my heart wants to say Gnar, my brain wants to say Malzahar. I think with the amount of mutant that we have seen, Malzahar being a core, part of a mutant comp if you have AP items.
Agree.
I would say that's kind of a safe reroll to go. You get to Cho early, you get it online. That's going to be very, very strong. But I'm with you, Boop. I do want to see more Draven as well, especially with it being VIP, never having to move. That has really always been Draven's bane, is walking, having to drop the axes. He wants to stay in the same spot for as long as he can and never move. Leg day, he's not going to be, having some swole legs. His arms, though, carrying those spinning axes.
Great caster, though. Leg day's a great caster. Who knew that the TFT leg day combo would happen? Wow, what a deep cut. But anyway,
in there.
I know. Great guy. Yi now is our victor of the last lobby. Get it? Because he won it, and we won it with Victor. So we have the Glamorous Gauntlet, and we have a little bit of a similar start right now. Anytime you start with the Rod, Rageblade, not as good right now, especially with a lot of the kind of units that we're seeing. Able to carry, that's most likely going to go in AP direction. A little less flexible. A lot less flexible than things like the Crit Glove.
Rageblade is a lot better in 6.5 than in set 6, I do say. So I think the option is there. As you mentioned, it's not amazing, but players have started to run it on units like Ahri and Draven as well. Actually, I think in the second place Draven game, there was a Rageblade on that one. It's not completely useless for AD options. It's really bad for things like, Jhin and Irelia, of course. but we'll have to see. There is a cloak now. Ionic, not going to be slammed. Backfoot, featherweights, and metabolic accelerator boot.
Wow, I think it's been a while since we actually had an opening gold augment.
Yeah.
Featherweights is super fun, but reroll is a lot worse. So
Yeah.
definitely gonna move that out.
Oh,
We
there's a
actually choose
twitch.
backfoot.
Yeah, choosing backfoot, I think that's a fine option if you don't want to go featherweights because you want to reroll. And metabolic is, I mean, it's still good. It's not as good as it used to be. I like backfoot though. It's really, really nice to play around. And if thinking about these, you know, backline carries, you can pretty much always go there. But we're also gonna be seeing some mutants, I think. Again, 2 Cho'Gaths already on that board.
Yeah, we have the armor plating for that Cho'Gath, so we actually might be moving into some Galio.
Wow.
A little later on, which we got to see last week too. If anyone knows me, you know, I have to say it. Give us Clapio and just let us keep it. All right, it's a legitimate build. Just let us have it. They gave us wide joy in a spray, so they can keep it here.
Oh man. Mercs were on the table for E. Didn't hit, however, but did hit Innovators. Solid option. I think the question is, do you actually send any items here? Because if you're going Innovators, you can think about Seraphine being a great carry and carrying with some chalices. So does a chalice slam come through?
I like the chalice slam in general. It's actually one of those items that I feel open to use at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
It's spread out stats, right? It's like picking an augment like Celestial Blessing, but just for 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, when HP is kind of the only main defensive factor, raw damage that you get from something like a chalice is actually going to be pretty beneficial. But we knew we were going to win, apparently, against Yippee Maokai, and we're going to keep those items on the bench.
Him on the bench, rolled into a Merc player, so yeah, you're, I mean, hopefully gonna beat the Merc player, as they generally try to lose streak. Singed upgrade makes it even easier. Can perhaps sell to 10 here now as well, if we do get rid of that misfortune, and indeed we do. This is still... Okay, this is interesting. Keeping the Camille's, I mean, is nice. The Warwick, Yi wanted to keep, because there's a nice synergy package between Innovators, Clockworks, and Challengers. I don't think it's ever going to reroll from this spot. I mean, passed up on the Twitch a bit earlier. I'm still just going to be using that early good synergy package, however, with that Camille.
I wonder if we're ever going to see a meta where Camille is going to stick around for a little longer than she usually does. She's actually pretty good with tank items, as we have the Merc player who's going to lose by 5 units. The Corky, pretty strong already with the Giant Slayer. And if we get another large rod, that opens up almost every single AP comp that you can ask for with that kind of itemization.
Could be a similar build to like a Victor that we saw last game. It could be an Ari. It could be a whole bunch of stuff, right? Malzahar as well. Jumps to mind as we get to see how exactly Yippee Maokai pilots these mercenaries. We saw Yippee actually game number 1 play Mercs, right? Went into the 5 mutant board.
And won
from there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and that was like a very challenging cash out. It was just cold and a tome. So there wasn't any direction when it came to items. And I think sometimes players kind of depend on the items to give you that direction, right? In terms of which comp to go. Are you going to go AP? Or are you going to go AD? Well, let's see what items we get. And there weren't any with that particular cash out. So I was pretty impressed by it. As Yippee Maokai hopefully gets at least 1 unit and finally does kill 1 unit for the first time today in the finals.
Oh, man. See Randy on the other side having the Innovators online. No gold though, and nothing on the bench besides an Ezreal pair. Now buys a Nocturne. A little bit concerning. But Yippee 74 HP, very low for this point. Got full wiped in multiple rounds in a row. And the Innovator bug doesn't quite count in terms of preserving HP.
I do like this particular setup, though. I mean, it guarantees the loss. Sometimes I think people, if you want to guarantee the loss, it's totally cool. Yeah, you're going to be losing a lot of HP, but trying to play the I only want to lose by 1 unit, I think, is one of those skill expression things. And sometimes you just throw the early game, right? Pick non-synergized units, and just lose every single time. You can guarantee those losses, but it just makes that cash out a little bit harder to hit, and way more important to hit if you're unable to find the power to actually cash out later.
Yep. Moving over to Cash Stash. Speaking of cash. And it's going to be rocking with some innovators. Has the scrap emblem as well on the Twitch. And I think you always got to think about how exactly is picking a scrap emblem early or scrap heart going to improve your chances at this game. Is it going to be, you know, pivoting into, or not pivoting into, but kind of keeping on that same vein and playing 6 scrap? You know, maybe going, you know, Tom Kench farming a lot of items. That has happened in, you know, highest of competitive TFT before, and it's worked out very well. Long time until we get there, and this Twitch is not really utilizing that super well at all. I guess it's a tall ask to take out Poison Ender's board there with a Corki 2, Swain 2, and Nocturne 2. So just a little unfortunate no matter how you slice it there for Cash Stash.
Yeah, a lot of power from Poison Ender. Wizard at 123 HP, so you know, that's an augment if anyone's confused as to Tiny Titans is why we're there. So we have actually lost. I actually like lose streaking with Tiny Titans. You get like a free 4 loss streak in the early game with those with that augment, which is interesting to use. So we also have over 10 gold finally for Cash Stash as well. We're actually going to get the scrap bonus now for the Twitch this time too. I do think that 4 and 6 scrap is actually quite undervalued. It's not like an attractive direction to go, but if you kind of fall into it, I think you could still top 4. There's carries in that particular comp, especially with that Irelia, who hasn't performed well today, but I swear to y'all, can perform well in your lobbies. I think tomorrow and throughout the weekend in Challenger Series, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more Irelia. Those players are a lot more ladder oriented in how they play, so definitely going to be seeing a little bit more of that. But yeah, I say go for the 4 scrap, 6 scrap sometimes, especially since some of those units are just going to be available. Like you're going to be able to tier 3 that Blitzcrank.
Yeah, that did happen somehow,
you know?
some way.
Yeah, and it's gotten rid of a Galio 3 before, so it's not completely undervalued. And like you said, you get that Tom Kench in there, everyone gets those items. Eventually, you know, you might get the augment that helps you, you know, what is it with scrap? Every item you get increases your damage. Or something like that. But yeah.
So there's gonna be some poor soul out there who thinks, wow, Blitzcrank 3 killed a Galio 3? That's crazy. What match did that happen?
It was only a Galio though, friends. Just the Galio, no other threats.
Controlled simulation environment with a sniper Blitzcrank buffed with 6 chalices.
Sniper Blitzcrank, that's the coolest thing ever.
I know. I never thought of that before.
We get the remover, which is actually really, really nice to have. I like just having that freedom to know that I'm not necessarily going to sell a unit in order to transfer those items over, so I could commit to a tier 3 1 cost at that point. But we have Debonair Syndra here, so that's definitely going to be temporary, I think. It's going to be temporary.
You did one of those things
I almost did the Khroen thing. And this will be moving into a Draven, most likely, especially since we've committed to the Debs on Airs.
Debs on Airs, Syndra. We've seen the value that Syndra can get, and sometimes the anti-value as well, throwing units into places where they don't really, you don't really want them to be. Not a lot of direction if we think about what carry we want, right? These are going to be all defensive items that we have to work with. Warmogs, a Locket, 1 Cloak, which can turn into like a Rune Hands. That's about the only offensive thing you can do with it. Or a Chalice, I guess, but neither of those items work super well for Debonairs. I guess Rune Hands for Draven, to think about.
Oh man, I wonder how Deba got on air in the first place.
Having talent, probably.
Oh man, it's probably like a radio jockey on air. Anyway, King Drew, who barely snuck in to this particular lobby, it literally had the exact placement that they needed, plus the placement that Upset Max needed, and we were able to get in here, and we're making sure that we find some value out of that, as we do get another all-cash payout. This was probably a little early for a payout at 3-2.
Yeah.
We might actually get a second cash out here.
Maybe, or can push levels and just try to protect the streak. Still running 3 Mercenary. It's actually, I think, a hard situation to say what should you ideally do. The Lucian is strong. This is 3 twin shot. A Thieves Gloves Gangplank is not bad. The front line is the only thing that's a little bit suspicious about this. Maybe it doesn't buy enough time for Lucian to deal damage. There's Nico's help on the bench. I think if Yippee Maokai does win this round, should go to 7 next turn and roll to have a half-decent upgrade, whether it be finding an extra frontline unit, whether it be finding a 4th Bruiser, just something. And Yippee Maokai does win this round, so I think the next turn will determine a lot of things.
We're going to get a little bit of gold along the way, too. A couple extra that we found off the street. Some loose change, if you will. And the Lucian finally shows up, right? We finally get to see what it looks like when it's successful. And like we said, it's going to be around this stage in particular. As we get into our second augment, it's just going to be a tier 1 augment.
Ooh. Already positioned for Phalanx, I mean.
Might as well. Item grab back's not bad.
Yeah.
You can always, a completed item is extra power that someone else is not going to have, but it is random, so it can be tough. Makeshift armor, I think it's already too late. It's going to be Phalanx. Phalanx?
Oh. Phalanx, I believe.
Phalanx? Yeah, that's a weird word.
It is. I mean, a lot of English words are weird words.
It's got an X in it. And we're going to start things off again here with 3 Mercenaries still.
Yeah, still keeping 3 Mercenaries. So Yippee did level up, but just had Rek'Sai in the shop, so didn't have to roll. Can just play 4 Bruiser pretty much for free there. Or I guess for exactly 2 gold, right? There's a couple players who are scary at the top, however. Poison Ender still 100 HP. Wizard did lose a couple rounds in stage 2, but at 123 HP is now on a win streak. BMLK might be able to deal with him though. 4 Bruiser, a lot of HP. Gangplank actually rolls into a Sunfire. That's going to be pretty solid into this matchup here versus Cash Dash. Let's see how it works.
This is our first Jhin that we've gotten to see like this early. The Innovator augment, where the Innovator will increase its HP until no Innovators are left remaining. That's really going to be a big deal once we get to the Bear.
Yeah.
But we aren't quite there just yet.
Oh man, Mercs are so good, man.
You know, and GP is good, right? I like the GP in the twin shot. Remember how strong that was a couple patches ago?
Yep.
And now that we're running with the Lucian, a 4th twin shot's not a bad option to kind of like round it out. You only need the 3 really, but a 4th is going to be really nice to round it out. If someone does get a spat, then it's going to be Goofy. This Goof troop having a little bit of a harder time than the last one, as we're not in the top 4 this time around. But things can change, especially with the spatula, because we have a tech Khroen at the ready.
There we go. That's going to be a huge buff there. Extra unit, especially when you're playing a Cho'Gath board. And yeah, there might be, like you said earlier, Boop, the chance to see a Galio a bit later on. Not going to be yet, right? We can't see Galios at stage 3 always. You know, not like Max last week, but at least we do get the Alistair in. So 2 Colossus buff online. Get a lot of armor plating value. The only thing that I'm really worried about is what's going to deal damage here.
That's a great question. I think it's funny because it would probably actually be the Rek'Sai if we had it in, but it's eventually going to be the Malzahar. Redemption on Cho'Gath is best in slot, always will be.
Yep.
And we don't get a stack to start things off on our first ultimate, and that's a little bit of a feels bad. Not a little bit, that's always a feels bad when we don't get that stack to start. Because the second ultimate isn't always guaranteed, and the shield might be enough to block another ult, and it does. Cho'Gath 0 stack so far.
Hopefully gets one, but might not have the time to, and yeah, I don't think will.
0 stacks, but 3 kills.
0 stack.
Interesting.
It also looked like the mutant buff was the Execute or Voidborn. Yeah.
When you see the jaws. That's how you can tell without knowing. If you ever appear on 1st or 8th and have to do snapshot, that's how you can tell what the mutant buff is.
I also think This Rek'Sai 2 is definitely stronger than something here on this board. I mean, my eyes turn to either the Malzahar or the Kasten. Sure, Kasten gives Scholars, which is nice for Cho'Gath to farm stacks, but I don't know. Malzahar 1, Rek'Sai 2, eh.
So this is the thing about Cho'Gath and Scholars, and this might be a little bit of a lukewarm take, but I don't like the interaction because I think Cho'Gath will ult too early most of the time.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, and so usually, like, the tempo is, you know, you get someone down and you can finally get the kill there, but because of Scholar, you're actually getting your ults a little earlier, which I think we're finally going to get a stack here, right? But you can kind of see how it could actually detract from our stacks. I do believe it was the reason why we didn't get any stacks last round.
Very well. Might have been. I didn't actually take that into account. That's a good point. Get some stacks here, though. Manages to feast upon the Jhin. Cash Dash takes another loss as Goofy has stabilized here, it seems. Even without the Rek'Sai being in. Another Cho'Gath naturally. Maybe not able to make Econ, but we're certainly going to be seeing, well, I say certainly, not a guarantee, but hopefully we'll be seeing a Cho'Gath 3 to end out this game from Goofy.
We do have an IE direction and armor bleeding. So
Galio, baby,
in
bring
the Galio,
it back.
We could do the Clapio, but that's probably gonna wait. One can dream. One can dream. It can happen.
One can dream.
I mean, we've got the Shiv now too.
No Cho'Gath, no Malzahar. Any level uppers? Here we go. Level up. Rek'Sai in, finding more Cho'Gaths. I don't think Goofy needs to roll here at all.
They're feeling good. That's what. Okay. I mean,
I guess if you hit,
sometimes you just know.
The board's already giga strong, right? So like
even
we're
about
not.
These items.
Yeah, we're rolling to just damage our Econ and find more Cho'Gaths, which we're not finding Cho'Gath 3. Don't like that decision.
Almost did.
But yeah, almost. Great items for the Malzahar, however. Shojin, Giant Slayer, a belt left over to perhaps Warmugs this Cho'Gath later.
Dude, this Cho'Gath is not feasting. I don't know what can truly fix it, because it's not just the Scholars, but I think we've gotten 3 feasts in 3 rounds, which is not what you want here, especially as we're moving into the Cho'Gath 3. It's going to be fine. For now, but we're going to be missing that HP a little later on. But, you know, once you get to, like, Cho'Gath 3, all that extra HP is just kind of just extra. Giant Slayer is going to get rid of it pretty early, as we finally do get a Kha'Zix.
Here we go, 5
mutant.
Mutant.
5 Mutant now. That's going to help the feasts so much better, especially with this Malzahar 2. It's going to butter him up for the Cho'Gath to eat a little bit later. This Poison Ender still hasn't lost.
That's crazy. All the way through stage. Like, generally, this is about the time when players will take their loss on 4-1 or 4-2. So Poison Hunter wins this round. That is very, very telling of either, you know, one of two things. Going up against a really weak board or just massively high rolling. And, yeah, they're a threat for the rest of the lobby for the entirety of the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It is just one of those kind of easy to see situations where, you know, they're just that good, that much better. So, and Cash Dash, I can tell, like, temperature-wise, is getting hot under the collar right now, in terms of where we're going. This is the most, you know, visual that they've played, and there's always a direct line to more physical interaction and making mistakes. It's really weird. So it's not weird. I mean, it's exactly what you would actually expect.
Yeah.
And right now, Cash Dash needs to focus and try to get as strong as we can. And whenever we see them in this situation, it never seems to come out of it.
Okay.
To pull out of this nosedive.
Here we go. We have Irelia getting rid of the pair of Jins because, I mean, Jin's just not going to be good in that Socialite Hex. Also not fantastic items for him either. These items are still not best in slot. Deathblade's actually, I think, significantly mathematically worse than IE in, I want to say, almost every situation. Probably that's not true, but in a lot of situations it is worse. Aurelia, however, with 3 Socialites, with Strikers online, can thrive. and might have done enough work here to start winning. And yes, Poison Ender now is starting to lose. So okay, wasn't turbo high rolling, just high rolling enough to you know, be able to go 8 with a very comfortable amount of gold, pivot into something, and still, you know, have a lead. We get to see Cash Dash hopefully hit Aurelia too soon. I had to roll it down a lot on level 7 though, so the econ is hurting a lot.
Yeah, Victor with Crit Glove, though, is going to be really nice for somebody. Yippee Makai is going to grab it. Silco with Large Rod, not the worst either when it comes to that unit. Again, I have to bring it up. I played Assassin Silco once. That was like the most fun I ever had with that unit. That was so...
it just goes to the backline and does what he normally does, right?
Yeah, but the explosion crits.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Like with like chemical overload.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually super fun. I'll never forget it, especially since it just looks funny when he jumps back there and does nothing.
He jumps back and starts auto-attacking. It's like, oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, and you see a crit, and you're like, oh, that's actually kind of high.
Yeah.
And by the time he auto-attacks, he's either dead or ultimates up. Still really fun. I won that lobby. Anyway, back to Innovators. Bruiser 4 right now. We have the Dragon's Claw. There have been, you know, a moderately good amount of AP. This is a great comp to have a Dragon's Claw over. The Senna's not going to be falling victim to it, but the Seraphine definitely is. And everyone else really on the board. So the Senna difference here is going to be what I'm seeing.
Senna with Deathblade, Rageblade as well. Yeah, that's just... The board's better in pretty much every single category. There's a better carry, there is more innovators, and that's kind of all you need, right? More innovators equals more better. English at its finest.
More innovators, more better. Salvage Bin, Celestial Blessing. Salvage Bin is a very nice augment to have, especially in the late game. Last Whisper also very nice to have right now.
Yeah, doesn't even need to salvage it. You can just put it on the Ezreal.
Good solid item. Will always be a good item. Popularity might, you know, change versus Giant Slayer, but will find value if you're unable to grab a Giant Slayer, for example. Having both is nice as well, but this is probably the closest lobby we've seen so far today.
Yeah, the top 5, I would say, are all pretty close. Goofy now win streaking is going to close some of that gap as well, but looking at the bottom of the lobby, only real outliers here, Yi and Cash Dash. Yippee Mao Kaye had that Merc cash out, you know, gonna be strong, gonna be having a lot of gold to work with. Seeing these last second switch of positionings. And Wizard is trying to, right now, just kill as many units as possible and then go all in stage 5, right? 42 out of 56 XP right now. This Ezreal is not a real carry. Ezreal versus Draven, you know how the matchup's going every single time.
Well,
we can't even kill a lot of things here.
Have gotten to see everything that we said we wanted to see in this lobby. Here's our Draven. It is Last Whisper Bloodthirster, and we're again moving away from the IE on the Draven. Bloodthirster has always been a phenomenal item on that unit ever since set 1. So definitely put that Bloodthirster on is the way that you can get that sustain on someone like the Draven. The Ezreal's now in the Socialite Hex, and again, that's a temporary carry. How much longer are we going to have it there? We've got good, attack damage based items. A Jace could be cool, but that could go on to a couple different people.
Cho'Gath 3 was spotted there with that quick scouting from a Wizard. Absolute monster that unit is, but I'm concerned, like we mentioned earlier, how many stacks it's actually gotten. Maybe it's going to be less tanky than we suspect. However, Wizard, again, the roll down, is it going to be a Jace? Hopefully it is. I think Jace would be one of the better options. Could be Aurelia as well, though, as we pick up Aurelias here as well.
All right, we're finally starting to see
a lot of dizziness.
4 cost and 5 cost units.
Oh my god!
There's the
here we
Jace.
go.
You can tell how dizzy a person
Wizard's
is.
So dizzy.
The mouse movement, right? I talk about this all the time, and then you have to redo your items. That's the worst feeling. That's like the thing about Salvage Bin that always surprises people, I feel like, is you go through this transition, you sell a unit, and sometimes you're just ready to put the same items on someone else, but you have to remake them all of a sudden. And yeah, they're the same items as last time now, just with a completed Rage Blade. And we have the remover for it a little bit later if we do want to put that onto Jace in the next round that I think we actually passed by. So that's not the case here. We're going to keep with the Strikers, it looks like.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a huge loss.
That was probably one of the, how do I want to word this? I don't want to sound too toxic. One of the least intentional roll downs that we have ever seen in a very important transitional stage. Frankly, because of just the apparentness of how dizzy they were. A lot more should have happened in that round, basically, is what I'm trying to say. There was about 40 gold left over to still do things with. Didn't happen. Ended up taking a big hit. Speaking of taking a big hit, Cash Dash took a big hit that round and it's actually out in 8th.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that was a nosedive.
Yep.
A wonderful mustache isn't going to help you from that kind of nosedive, as this is a Tom Catch 2 already for Yippee Maokai, and we still just have a regular Nikos on the bench, so we probably nattied into it, and we have the Thief's Gloves on it as well, and that is another huge loss and an item component for ourselves. Yippee Maokai,
crazy board,
setting up a possible lobby win here. Very possible lobby win with that board.
I think there was like multiple tier 2 legendaries, a fully built like Renata 2 level 9. Again, the power of Mercs, if you get a solid cash out, and it was an early cash out at that, but being able to translate Mercs into a first place is such a high rate if the game pacing goes well for you. Yippee Maokai is certainly putting himself in contention to win it once again.
Yeah, played really well in Inno last week, the Innovator Cup, too. So
yeah,
we know that this is consistent. And Yippee Maokai has been at Fight Night and has actually not done well here before. So we're seeing the growth of another potential pro in the making.
Yeah, rising star.
We have the Bloodthirster Static Shiv Last Whisper. Talk about a constellary item on that Draven. Unfortunately, with the Shiv, I don't see how that can beat a top 1 comp, let alone a top 4 comp, as Yi going to fall. So Cash Dash and Yi, who have been struggling the entire lobby, have already gotten knocked out.
Unfortunately, he does take the 7th. There is a Galio here. Hey, is it time to clap? Probably not.
It's got the Shiv.
It does have a Shiv. Yippee is going to grab it. Not to play, though. Probably just for the Shiv for the Victor. Oh my, Boop, this board. Victor 2, Tom Kench 2, Silco. I'm having like nerd chills here because it's such a well-played game and everything is coming together.
Yeah, and we can just Nikos this the Silco now if we don't randomly roll into it, which
it's already tier 2.
Oh, you're right. That is it. Wow.
That's why I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god, this board's crazy.
Okay, you're actually gonna need the Nikos for like Vi or something at this point in time. You have your tier 2 units. You're cool.
There's more legendary tier 2 units than anything else on this board.
That's hilarious. Not for everybody, as I think the Shroud actually is going to get put onto the Vi. Does not hit the Cho'Gath. There is no Giant Slayer for the Cho'Gath. A lot of health on it. Redemption's going to actually be really good against Renata and Victor, but here is that ult. A lot of damage already on the Cho'Gath. 2 units remain. That armor plating definitely helping a little bit and should be pretty good against Silco. But I mean, in terms of, you know, the sprint that we talked about earlier and biding versus biding your time, Yippee Maokai did the other side, which was bide the time, and we're still running Mercenaries. So through this streak of 6, we're getting gold each time too.
Yep. Definitely a boon when it comes to just keeping this economy advantage.
He's never casually
feeds 400 HP to Tom Kench, and there's Nikos. Dare we see a Tom Kench 3?
Do we have the time? I think we do. It's only 5-6. Look how quick this lobby's gone.
It is very quick of a lobby. We might end before stage 7. We've gone to stage 7 so frequently for the past couple of weeks. See how much damage Yippee Maokai deals to everybody else.
The game definitely seems to have slowed down just a tad, i.e. JG. You know, it's so interesting how IE is almost a better AP item now than an AD item. I think you can definitely make that argument.
I think you can too. It's definitely an interesting conversation. I'd love to see like the math. I mean, obviously, you know, being a caster, I'm bad at math. No, I'm just inherently bad at it. But it just kind of worked out that way. There's a lot of math on like what AD combinations are actually good and what AP combinations are actually good, how much damage they'll deal to like certain thresholds of AD and MR and stuff. And you might be right, Boop. Definitely would like to, you know, see that explored further.
Okay, so we got a Shiv here. Not the worst item in the world. Mana's always nice to have. And you're going to be helping out your Victor and your Renata. Any magic damage, especially if it's AoE, that's going to feel really nice if you're only cutting through 3/4 health instead of full health bars once the Victor ults.
And Yippee Maokai is consistently feeding Tahm Kench defensive stats. And I think that's actually really smart. The Tahm Kench, sure, farming more items is great, but you already have both your carries fully itemed. You don't really need to prioritize items. You need to prioritize Tahm Kench living to, again, buy time for the other units, and that's exactly what he's doing. The phalanx as well, providing stats. That's why most of these things are in the back 2 rows, just as Zac is to get one ultimate off. Everything's coming together.
Rabadon's Jeweled Gauntlet on the Tahm Kench with just those stacks of defensive stats. And this is exactly why you do it, right?
Yep.
That Tahm Kench does not survive and potentially do extra damage. I believe that was a ghost, though. No, it was a top 4. So, it doesn't survive and do that damage unless we've been feeding them, right?
Yep.
So, definitely a very good point. We have the Tahm Kench 2 now.
Oh,
And we feed the Galio. So, I mean, it's not a 0% chance that we see a Tahm Kench 3.
There is a realistic chance that we do. The game's probably going to last for another 2 rounds, maybe 3. I want to see it so bad, actually.
It's been a while. Tahm Kench, I built a Tahm Kench 3 during PBE and haven't seen it since. Actually can be a little challenging against things like Cho'Gath, as it doesn't spit them out, does do just
not an auto win.
Set amount of damage. The Victor ult, though, is going to be what definitely helps us out. Renata helping as well, just not enough damage coming from that Draven, and it seems like no one able to get a good 3rd item on their Draven so far today, so that's another elimination.
Elimination happening. Goofy, actually, oh my god, naturally Tahm Kench at this point is crazy. One more.
Oh, I got excited there for a second.
One more. Ooh.
Oh.
One more round.
No! Okay, we get another
board.
round.
Sell the board. Yeah, okay, there's one more round.
We get another round. And we actually might not win this next round. Oh, man, but we did roll a Giant Slayer, which is beautiful against this particular comp. But look at that Malzahar. We have a Giant Slayer and 2 Shojins, so that's going to be like a machine gun. Yeah. Malzahar will be going Burr.
Definitely going Burr. Tier 3 helps Malzahar spread out that damage a lot faster as well. Gets enforced. Renata going to be spreading that Morellos to the whole board. Morellos is fantastic at dealing with it. Victor casts as well. Malzahar is certainly going to go down there, and he does. The armor plating on these Colossus units is probably not going to be enough, though. Another Victor cast, and yeah, that was kind of close. It is going to mean Goofy survives. We get to a carousel where there's no chance for a Tahm Kench. No Tahm Kench.
It's going to happen. We're going to natty into it.
Natty into it? Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
At least one of them. We'll natty into one of them. No problem. But we actually might get another round if things don't go according to plan for Yippee Maokai. Yeah. But you got to give props to Yippee Maokai. Twice we cashed out marks with pretty much just gold, and twice we might convert to a win.
Oh, triple Zeri. One more roll? No. Okay, sell the board.
Sell the
board.
Or just like position awfully for this particular round. Selfishly, I would love to see a Tahm Kench 3, but I don't think we're gonna see it unless the Malzahar doesn't get enforced for some reason. It doesn't have Hextech Gunblade, so that's been a pretty brutal realization in this particular matchup.
Gonna get enforced. Can't enforce the Colossus units. Might just come to an end here. The last round was close, though, so depending on how long this Malzahar does survive... Okay, well, doesn't survive the Victor cast.
But look how much closer this is. This
Wait a
isn't
minute.
just completely over just yet. Oh my goodness! Oh, animation was too slow. Yippee Maokai takes the dub. Doesn't need the Tahm Kench 3. But, it's nice to know that you almost had it as well. Cho'Gath 3 came really early, got a 2nd place, and once again, Mutants getting a top 2 spot. I think that's 3 out of 4 lobbies now.
It is, and it's 2 out of 2 times that Yippee Maokai plays Mercs and translates it into a victory. Let's go ahead and look at the scores after that last lobby. Point totals are doubled, Boop, and with that, Yippee Maokai is going to soar well ahead of the rest of the pack. 10-point lead When it comes to Goofy, Bimakaye is almost but secured a top 4 finish at least. But Goofy is in second, Kanger in third, Yi in fourth, actually tied with Randy Fan for points. And then Poison Ender, Wizard, and Cash Dash, unfortunately, in 8th at the moment.
So when it comes to this final lobby, a couple people still eligible for that win. Anyone within 18 points can technically take it if Yippee Maokai, for example, gets last place. The doubling of the points does make it a situation where more people can be eligible. For example, like Yi could technically still take the first, but this is really, I think, a two-person race here with Goofy and Maokai right now leading the charge. A top placement from either of those two will probably be enough for the victory.
I think even mathematically, Poison Ender with 27 points could take a first if they win. Yippee gets 8th, Goofy takes like 7th. Like, there's a crazy situation world, I think, where that can happen. So, a lot to look forward to for this final game, Boop. 4th lobby Curse also did not strike. Yippee Maokai.
No, not at all. That was a clean... Yippee Maokai has been playing very clean so far, and we haven't had like the easiest Merc cash outs in the world, as again, the Merc cash outs weren't providing any direction. We were just getting money through those cash outs, so we were utilizing the context that we had and making sure that we were making high percentage plays with it, and I'm pretty impressed by it, to be honest with you.
Actually, I do take that back. I think actually Yi was the point leader going to that lobby. I thought it was Yippee Maokai, but it wasn't. Yi was the point leader, and Yi did go 7th, so the 4th lobby Curse did end up striking, actually.
I don't know why that one and the spoiler in the last lobby always happens. It's got to have something to do with how long we've been playing or something. Like, at this point, there is actual weight to what we're saying, I think. Or maybe, curses appear because we bring them into existence. It's like saying 7 at the craps table. Right? But moving into this last lobby, again, a couple people still on tap to win the lobby, but a lot of people can potentially top 4 and come back next week to give themselves another chance of winning that money. So again, we've already lost 50% of our top 4 from last week. Let's see who's going to join the other 2 who might not even make it after this lobby. We might have a completely different set of 4 players going into next week.
Andrew and Poison Ender trying to make it there, and that's, I think, another reason that this last lobby is always exciting, is because everybody with the point totals doubled can still make it into the top 4. If you have a good pop-off game, you roll Mercs in the early game, you translate it to a first, right? Hey, we're gonna be seeing you here next week to see if you can make it happen again. Cash Dash as well, still like 6 points behind 7th place, but still with the first place, getting 40 points. Again, can theoretically make it into the top 4. So as we get into game 5, Boop, a lot is on the line, but Yippee Maokai is leading the charge.
Just like Samira says, guys, gals, and pals, this is going to be a great finale to our night tonight. Yippee Maokai definitely in the driver's seat, playing some very clean Mercs twice so far, almost flawless when it comes to that Merc play. But how long can you stay clean? That seems to be the name of the game when it comes to TFT, right? You're gonna make errors, but hopefully you just make less than your opponent, right? And over a 4 or 5 game lobby, right? Things can happen. It's statistically improbable for you to play perfectly every single time. So how you recover from those mistakes and just playing as clean as possible is going to determine how the rest of this plays out. So it's time to go all or nothing, I think, for a couple of our players, especially if you're competing for that top 4 spot. A little bit different for our top 2 for the first time in a while, where if you're okay with not winning and just coming back next week, you can actually play a little conservatively and kind of coast in this lobby if you want.
Yeah, maybe avoiding things like Mercs. Ooh, we get a banger of a final game, starting off with a Prismatic Augment. Assassin crowd, Phalanx, Cybernetic uplink. It's probably gonna be Phalanx here,
Dude,
I would imagine.
50 armor and magic
uplink.
resist? That's so much. It's flat stats, man. And it's flat stats for everybody, where Cybernetic not everyone gets to take advantage, right? You have to have an item. So in this way, we do get every single member of our team has the possibility to get 50 armor and magic resist. So let me take you back to a Warwick that we saw not too long ago with 2 Titans. Resolves giving them the same stats after they were fully stacked. That's how good this
Very
prismatic
true.
is. We have a Mercenary one. We have the Golden Orbs as well, a Double Trouble 3. These are some hype augments that we got here in this lobby. Super intrigued about the Double Trouble. We haven't seen the Double Trouble at all so far today, and it's a pretty rare augment to see in general. So yeah, this is going to be a hype lobby.
Super hype lobby, and I mean, if it can even hold a candle to what our last lobby was in the last week, I would be so happy. That was the Recombobulator lobby. It was a banger. If you haven't watched the game,
reference, yeah, we're gonna reference it every
it.
week. Don't worry.
Yeah.
As Yif gets a Warwick 2 at 2-1, that's some great direction.
That's crazy.
Chemtech Challenger is one of those things that you can could totally just bail off of a little later on if you want, or you can commit to it, especially since you already have the 2 Titans pretty much. 4 Phalanx if you have it. This is going to be a Debonair augment here for the Warwick.
Wow. Okay, a Debonair Crown. Where is this going to go? Rageblade Slam on a Warwick 2 that loses 2-1. My expectations are already blown out of the water right now in terms of what's going to happen in this game. I have no idea. We do have 3 Debonair, however, because of these emblems.
I forget what it is, but I bring this up a lot. There is a chess move where you purposely play something notoriously bad to bring the game state into an unfamiliar place for everybody. Right? And I feel like opening prismatic augments do that
Yes.
to TFT players, right? You have these plans, you have these ideas that you're going to go to, and then all of a sudden the game throws you prismatic opener, and just like in that chess game, everyone's kind of even keeled again. Everyone's playing a game that they're not necessarily familiar playing. So that's what makes it exciting for me. I know for the players it can be a little frustrating, but as a viewer, this can be very, very fun. As look at the difference between Phalanx and the other augments here versus this comp.
Battle Mage on the other side of that board there. People naturally leveling up to 4 in this round. Get Gnar with Socialite. 3rd row Socialite Hex is a little awkward. Probably the most awkward row, I would say, is the 3rd row, because you're not going to want to put snipers there. You're going to hesitate to put melees that far back as well. Sure, that can work out, but usually, you know, 1st or 2nd row you'd be comfortable with. Still going to work out here in this fight, however, or at least in stage 2.
We don't have Urgot, which I think was made for the 3rd row. So
Yeah.
I just think overall the importance of that row is just not quite there. It's a throw to put a ranged carry there, in my opinion, especially if it can hit 4 hexes. But look at...
Wait, that's Merc.
Is that an open fort? Merc board?
Yeah, it was 2 units there, making 20 gold, running Mercs with just a GP.
Okay, so...
Oh, this game. I love TFT.
I do too. Especially when it comes to games like this, where we probably won't see one like this again. I thought that last week, but we're going to start with the Prismatic Augment. And remember, if you start with Prismatic, there is a chance to get double or triple when it comes to the Augment when you open with it. That's always the most fun for me as a viewer.
Yeah, in game, another story, but you know, on the other side of things, super exciting.
Super exciting. It's like watching Ari. Super stressful for you, the player. Super exciting for the viewer. And Goofy, who's been a pretty exciting player throughout the day, pretty consistently around the top 4. Had a little bit of a rough out last round, so we definitely want to push a little harder. And this particular augment will have a huge advantage later in now. And the mid game, it's not going to be as powerful. But once we hit like 9 units, that's going to be a big advantage for us.
Yeah. Frozen Heart Slam in the early game here. What do you make of this, Boop? Because I think that Frozen Heart is a solid item, but slamming it early, I think people are gonna have different takes on.
I think unless you have it on Echo, it's going to be an interesting decision. Echo's just so good at getting the Frozen Heart value versus a Darius. Bodyguards, I think, were supposed to be... Was that a Luxel? that just ran
Yeah,
by
I don't
the
know what that
screen.
was actually. I literally blinked and missed it. I saw the end of it.
Anyway, bodyguards are supposed to taunt, and Frozen Heart obviously works really well with that. I think that was its original intention, but Echo just uses the item so well. But
Ooh,
we
copy.
shall see. I mean, this is a Frozen Heart diff at that point.
It is, yeah, very much so. So you got to say at that point it's correct, right? To
Yeah.
slam it if it's a difference.
Well, it's also one of those items that you don't know if it's correct until like 4 rounds later.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. It's one of those
Definitely.
hindsight is 2020 items for sure, because it can definitely bonk. It can definitely be something in the early game that doesn't find as much value if it's not on an Echo that can like make it into the back line.
Yeah, it's always going to get some value. The question is how much, right? And you know, like you mentioned, Echo is going to be able to do a lot of work with it. Units like a Darius, things that want to solo frontline in the early game, are going to get a lot of value off of it. And yeah, running Mercs. There's actually 2 Merc players in this lobby, so this lobby is already guaranteed to be a crazy one. I mean, even since we've seen the prismatic augments, but that doesn't tell the whole story, right? There's more crazy elements to it as well. Fortunately, Goofy able to get these wins back on track. Still hurting in the economy department, however, but board strength is still there.
Aren't we all? Poison Ender.
Oh, man, true.
Very interesting position here. Normally, I would say, oh, this is a great spot for Poison Ender, but the last time we had 100 HP and we noticed, I think we lost every round since then. So keeping yourself on top with the win streak can be very difficult, especially through stage 4. Specifically, like you said, 4-2 has been a lot of times, if you've been able to make it through all the PvE rounds since then, is where you might take your loss. And when you lose at that stage is usually by more than 1 unit. So Poison Ender really needs to try to convert the early win into a top 4, because I don't even think we were able to do that last lobby.
Yeah, Poison Ender sitting in 6th place in the lobby, 27 points. It's still right around that middle of the pack threshold, though. Only 3 points separates Poison Ender from 4th. So just needs a basically top 4, 3rd place. It's like you're mentioning, this early game win streak, giving a lot of hope for what can happen there. Kandrew is playing Double Trouble, so having copies of units is gonna make them that much more powerful. Running a Ziggs 1 always feels awkward, though, especially with how much we kind of trash talk Ziggs, the unit. But yeah, they're gonna gain a lot of stats, right? Armor, AP, AD.
You know, I think a triple Shiv Ziggs could actually do something. But why would you do that unless you're
with
me?
auto attacks.
I'm going to try it. And just see what happens. I think it could actually help in the early game, but in the late game, it's just not going to do anything for you. And these Yordles are going to struggle buggy a little bit, or a lot. There's not a lot of itemization other than on Ziggs, and that's bad news usually.
At least Ziggs can't miss when it comes to, rounds like this, but only was able to take out 1 unit. Still a 6-0, because Goofy has new recruit. Not a good start to the game for Kandrew. Level 5, 25 gold, running these Yordles. If this Ziggs gets tier 3'd as is, this is the strangest tier 3 Ziggs build I will have ever seen with the Zeeks on there. You would think the items maybe would want to go towards like a Corki instead, at least with the Jeweled Gauntlet. I don't have high hopes for this, that's all I'm saying.
That's not a good call for Mr.
Hopefully
Cash
I'm
Dash.
wrong, but
5 mercs though is already here, and if we're able to cash out, it's actually pretty hard to cash out on 5 mercs, in my opinion. You're gonna need to get a friendly matchup like 3-4 or 3-5, I think. But with the Rage Blade on the Sivir, you might be able to steal a victory. We're kind of close to it here. I think we're gonna get it.
Gonna get it here.
Yeah, we're gonna get it
so.
here.
I mean, it's just a Ziggs. There's no way that Ziggs wins, right? Or does he? That Ziggs is the best Ziggs I've seen all set. Give him the award.
I would literally just start crying right now. I would look right into the camera and just start crying. As we do have tier 1 augments now to kind of balance out the prismatic.
Enforcers? Oh, okay. Hex Tech. I mean, okay, we do have a Sivir actually. Enforcer, great. It will synergize right now with the Caitlyn, but if Hex Tech is the pivot, I think this is the right call. You have Sivir power right now. I think if that augment was there last round, obviously it couldn't have been. would have been the difference between winning and losing that round. It was super close. Board's a lot more powerful than last. Oh, dropping to 4 Merc.
You get to keep your 5 mercs. That's how it works. Oh,
Yep.
that's funny. My opponent
That's how
didn't
it
know
works.
it. And with the Sivir, like you said, not like you said, like we saw a little earlier, can maybe take a round off if that Ziggs didn't. Apparently took performance-enhancing drugs before that round. We're gonna look into it for sure. The Cash Dash is probably still thinking about that Ziggs, to be honest with you.
Mercs versus Mercs.
Mercs versus Mercs. Someone is going to cash out here. It's gonna be Sivir versus Gnar.
I mean, it's Gnar with the BT, right? It must win, and let's see. I actually don't know. I was gonna say, yeah, I think it's gonna. But,
it probably
yeah, I think it's gonna.
Yeah. Wow, that's
I don't know why I second guessed that, and yeah, we see Cash Dash. I mean, the hand on the head's being like, oh man, how am I gonna salvage this one?
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough. We're in
0 gold.
We're in a bad position. Not even just like awkward or recover, but we're just in a bad position right now. Randy Fan, honestly, in a similar position right now, but that's all going to be different after this cash out, right? Similar position playing Mercs, but one wins, one loses. Maybe Cash Dash gets a better cash out after this, but if you lose the Merc versus Merc, that kind of tells you that you're not gonna win against most of the other comps either.
Yeah, I mean, it is in this awkward spot where both Merc players were trying to spike really hard, and other players might not be trying to spike into early stage 4. So it's still possible, I think, that Cash Dash is stronger than other players in the lobby. Poison Ender is still streaking. Poison Ender does such a good job at early game streaking. It's kind of crazy. Wizard is as well, but now we get to see this cash out. Nico's, a lot of gold, a couple of items.
Oh.
Some 3 costs and a TG.
Man, that is better than Yippee Maokai ever got. When the cashing out, we get some direction here. We get the Nico, so we have a lot of flexibility on in terms of what carry we want to use. We can use the Draven if we want, but it seems like we're gonna keep rolling. 4 bruisers, 3 mercs still on the board.
Sivir.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a slow roll down.
It was a lot of like, you take a long time to kind of process what you get and actually pick up all of these the mercenary orbs, because you don't want to have it be units and then like you don't get to see what the units are because you just convert them into gold because your bench is full. The Gnar is still strong enough to win rounds at this point. I don't think Randy fans should be that concerned about having to, roll it all down there. Utilize some item components. Gnar should
my goodness.
Secure the... Okay, Gnar missed everything there somehow.
I think Warwick's going to take this.
Yeah.
Especially since Syndra's saying go to your room. Oh, or actually these rocks. Okay, so...
No, if Gnar didn't grief the early part of that fight,
seriously.
then yeah.
Cash Dash loses again. Definitely going to be looking out. This is probably the last chance for Cash Dash to cash out before we go into this PvE round. At least we made it. Lucian 2 is probably going to help us out. We'll see. Twin Shot's a very easy direction to go out of Mercenaries. As we're starting to level up these units, we're going to keep our bruisers and we finally take our mercs out. And now we have some itemization to do. Cash Dash, I believe all 9 losses are in this chest, and 3 of them are 5 lost Mercenaries. Yeah. This is a tier 1 Sivir.
Oh no,
okay.
Wrong side.
This might be okay, but it is on the wrong side, like you said. The Sivir is going to be affected by the Frozen Heart.
After the Quicksilver, though, so it buys time, and with that time, I think she can take down the Nocturne. Yes, she does. This should be a cash out, Boop.
Should be a cash out. There's not a lot of damage remaining on this board. Oh man, that's probably like eating a good meal at this point in time, as Cash Dash is going to cash out. And again, a couple of these were 5 mercs losses, so this is going to be pretty big.
How much cash can the stash get?
Nice.
I hated it. I don't think it was nice.
I loved it.
Here we go, Boop. Open the orbs.
Okay.
Some 3 costs.
Some
Probably
3
sell
costs.
everything here. Besides the Senna, I guess.
Nico's. 2 Egos.
Oh.
Sword
Whoa, that's
an attack.
That's a Tactician's Crown.
It sure is. And now it's all about
Victor
actually converting this. How many times have we seen someone cash out on Merc and then lose the time into the pivot? At least we have the PvE round to help us out, but we still have a lot of decisions to make, especially since we're going to be adding items on top of this. There's still a lot to do here for Cash Dash.
I'm seeing Jewel Gauntlet IE pairings, perhaps? Juggling IE Shojins? Alright, no, it's going to be Irelia 2 and a Sivir 2. Both are going to be fully itemized. But Victor was just in case. This is going to be a strong board. The only thing that Cash Dash doesn't have going is the fact that they're still level 7. They had to spend a lot of gold on 7 to get to this point. But this should still be a strong enough board, I would imagine.
We don't have the scrap for the Irelia, so we're not going to get a third item on her just yet, but we might have enough power right now to take down most of the lobby. It is just 4-1, right? So having 2 tier 2 4-cost units is ahead of the curve, but not as far ahead as I think you would want it to be. This is going to be a little bit easier of a round. That's going to be a 4-unit win, but you know, after a Merc cashed out against that particular comp, you kind of want to wipe them at that point in time, in my opinion. And so this comp still has some room to grow. We just need to make it grow as well as we did our facial hair for this particular comp.
A 6-hex tech 4 striker. Gonna be able to level to 8 soon. Dietitian's Crown helps a lot here. Again, having to play Alistar means that you're going to be playing a unit down. On this board from Yi, however, 4th lobby curse struck, but 5th lobby looking a little bit better. Nice looking units on the board there, filled with 7 Debonaires.
I'm pretty sure Wizard is playing Go to Your Room. That was a Syndra 3 that just popped up.
Oh, really? Wow.
Over there. I cannot wait to yell it. Everyone be warned. But this Draven is going to be, like you said, that VIP. Draven can sit anywhere. Doesn't have the protection from a Blitzcrank just yet, but is going to feel safe in this particular matchup. We have the Rageblade and we have the Bloodthirster, which is really good, but there's not a lot of help outside of that, especially since Wizard is running the same comp, but already has the Syndra 3.
Yep. Syndra 3 at 4-2 is very nice, especially with still 72 HP on a win streak. 7 Debonaires there, not, or 6 Debonaires there, excuse me, not quite 7 yet. Hey, he at least still hits the Syndra 2 for
Yeah, that was
himself.
probably the rarest of the units remaining, so that's actually pretty good.
It is. Very nice. Why is there... You look at these boards, it's like Draven 2, Irelia 2, Sivir 2, Sivir 2, and then there's still a board that's carrying a Nocturne. Yeah, yikes.
Not going to feel that great. Cash Dash, though, lost so much in the early game that it's going to be a little bit before someone does fall below. Randy Fan, a little bit of a hard time. Goofy now, these units are starting to fall off. Every single one of the units on this board falls off near the end of the game, around right now. Really, this Draven should be fine for this round. The Vi, even with just a tier 1 Warmogs and the Frozen Heart doing a lot of work for that tank.
Vi is such a good unit, and with these items as well, she has a lot of staying power. She can buy time for this Draven to, look at him go. Look at all the axes in the air. Oh boy. Draven does need a 3rd item to be strong, however. Rageblade BT are 2 solid ones. We can get like an IE, Last Whisper, Giant Slayer, I think probably comes to mind the most, or at least for the best item choice.
Oh man, Draven doing his best cosplay of a middle school hallway with all of that axe going everywhere.
I was like, where's Boop going with this?
So I used to be a middle school teacher, and Axe was so popular at that point in time.
School, wait, am I?
Oh my goodness, dude. It was so bad. It was so bad. Every kid used Axe body spray. Every single one of them.
You just like spray the whole can on yourself as like a replacement of like taking a shower, and it just it was not good. It is. Yeah,
we overcompensated with the Axe body spray. I'll never forget. Oh man, that's funny. Middle school, what a traumatic experience. Anyway, Yippee Malkaye, now in 7th place. This is a little bit of a throw right now. We had some space in between the 1st place and the 4th place, but not if we finish in 7th. We already built a Deathblade, so that tells me that we were pretty desperate at some point. Sivir 2 already exists on a board where pivoting into a contested comp, and they went to their room, friends, as Syndra is going to pick them up and throw them. Go to your room, friends.
Pick them up and put them down. Not put them down, slam them down to their side of the board there. Syndra going to clean up this
one.
one.
Go to your room.
I, I don't even think this is Yippee Maokaye's fault, though. I mean, with the augment choices that people got, prismatic augment games are so swingy. Some players are going to be, massively ahead, like our Merc players were, and some players get offered phalanx, which is nice, but then if you don't roll into units, the lobby gets accelerated so hard with those Merc cash outs happen. You don't roll into these units because, hey, the Merc players stole them all. They with them out of the pool. So you're just sitting on Silver 1, sitting on Alistair 1. The only upgraded units right here are Echo, Sejuani, and Jarvan. Maybe Maokai is going 8th in this game.
Yeah, and this is what you're witnessing is exactly why some people complain about the prismatic openings. We have to do it. We have to Silver 2. There's no way that we don't. That was the correct decision. Frozen Heart Death Stance on the Alistar, that's pretty much going to be a tier 2 tank in the front line, especially since it's a Colossus at the same time. And the Hex Tech's going to be helpful. So I like this. We went hyper defensive for our particular comp and put everything into the Sivir. Please put the large rod on someone. We have 9 HP.
I like it, Boop. I'm 100% with you there. I still don't think it's going to be enough. This Irelia on the other side here is really, really scary.
Who gets CC'd? We have a Shiv, but no Rage Blade. Death Blade is just so hard to utilize on a tier 4 unit, in my opinion. You kind of want to use it on that tier 3 reroll, but it's going to be it here. There's no way she beats the Irelia.
No. It is only a 1 unit loss, however. So Yippee Maokai will survive. And it's going to be up to a 9 loss streak, however, so no room for any more losses. Let's move over to Wizard, who was really running away with this lobby. Did lose 2 rounds in stage 4, but this Battle Mage in front 2 rowing everything else with this Syndra, she's doing massive damage, and with the Gunblade and the Celestial Blessing, healing herself and her team up.
And Archangel. So this is what you call, so in K-pop, just follow me here. Someone who can sing, dance, and do the visual is called an ace, right? And this Syndra right now is an ace, a triple threat right now. It has the utility, has the utility, has the damage as well. Because remember, this is the Debonair version, so there's going to be a knockup too when it comes to this Syndra. And that knockup is not something that you can ignore. It's a good amount of CC. It's why at this point we've been able to just hit 8 and find that success. And now with the Silco, we have a lot more options on where to do this positioning, because Silco doesn't necessarily need to be in the Battle Mage position. But it looks like we're going to put him there anyway. And get no one in the Hex.
Okay. He's just there for fun.
Good participation award.
Yeah. The Tom Kench, though, with these items. Debonair, Quicksilver, Archangels, Massive, Syndra. Go to your room.
Go to your room and think about what you built. All right. It's Frozen Heart, Sunfire, Cape Redemption. Looking a little awkward. We do get an item component as well. This is going to be a Syndra victory unless Silco throws. Silco. Remember, this was just a participation, Silco. Okay. Thank goodness.
Take Silco out of here. No. Not a fan. Not a fan of this Silco.
Especially if you're not going to be giving anyone that extra mana to begin with. It's for the Scholar, but
too.
That
big
feels
upgrade.
Nice. Big upgrade. So like you said, now we're going to start itemizing some of our other units. Even though the Tom Kench is tier 2, it's actually not that tanky right now. Has some dodge, which should help, but not super tanky. We would love to build out like that Morgana, for example, to help us out. But we have so much good peel with the Syndra when she sends them to the corner, right? That it might not matter.
A chance to see if it's going to matter. Get to see if Draven can work his way through the rest of the board here first. Tom Kench eating units. All about the Draven. What can it do, however? It's stacking up the Rage Blade. There's not a lot of just raw damage with this. It's going to take too long to stack up. Meanwhile, Syndra's heals to full does enough damage. Silco can't even grief this board at this point. It's just not enough. Tom Kench farms an item, farms a victory, and eliminates a player out of the lobby.
Go to your room, everyone. Look at this.
Actually, Fight Night's over for them. Go to your room.
I know. Battle Mage. I mean, this is perfect for this particular comp. Really great, like vision to see this possibility, because not only is the Syndra going to be good for the comp, it's going to be so good for Victor, because one ult from Syndra and then a Victor ult right after, that should be most of the team comps out of there right now. Dominator 7 could be nice, but right now I think we should just stick around. I'm still not sure the Silco, like you said, is the best idea in the world. We've actually seen Silco throw a couple times, as that hits every single person on the board. This Syndra, so good so far.
I guess we got to see how much value is Silco getting, and yeah, Silco actually did good there. He not only kept the Tom Kench alive, but he allowed to get another ultimate off. It was, more theoretical damage if you're playing against an actual player. Another Silco here on this carousel does have a chalice, but that's a little bit awkward to make work. Poison Ender, talk about how you translate 100 HP win streaks into top 4s. Might not be able to do it here in this game.
For the second time in a row.
That
is something to reflect on, right? At least there's something like after leaving today that you have like specifically you can work on, right? Because that's twice that we had 100 HP for a good amount of time, and potentially might not even top 4 with it.
Yeah, that's something that we've seen players kind of run into that struggle in the past. I think Jirachi actually comes to mind when they were first here on Fight Night. That's a little bit of a great at win streaking, but translating those top 4s is a bit of a struggle. They did get a lot better at it over time, but it is a very kind of learned skill that you have to have in TFT, and it's not always going to be the easiest thing. Andrew hitting a Vex 3, not able to get that double trouble Vex in though, because it was too late.
Oh, this is our double trouble board. Kind of blanked on this, but this is going to be a pretty... I wonder what the mutant is as well. It doesn't seem like the Vex is taking any damage. Oh, but look at that. Because of Malzahar, Syndra can be taken down by damage over time with that, as Malzahar 3 now is on the board, and we are starting to ramp up. Talk about a ramp up.
They hit everything that they needed. 5 mutant, 3 Arcanists. You can take an Arcanist out of there, play the extra Vex, play the extra Malzahar. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what this board can do.
What is the mutant as well?
That's a great question, Boop.
They don't seem super tanky. I mean, they kind of do seem tanky. The Vex does in the front, but it is tier 3. We're going to keep the Malzahar in the back line.
IE on the bench. Should just go on the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, I did not see the execute. Oh, I think it's mana.
Yeah,
it's the mana one. Looking at the Malzahar, big loss though. And Catch Dash was our Merc player.
Mercs are pretty good, Boop. Also, once again, Poison Ender did not top 4 with that huge lead. Did go 5th. Goofy went 3rd. Cash Dash on a streak. Andrew's board doesn't seem good enough, especially if that last round is any evidence.
Yeah, we did really well against Wizard. So again, we might have another rock, paper, scissors situation. A second Shiv is actually kind of nice for us. We can put it on the other Malzahar if we want to. It is going to be Chalice here, so just flat damage. That's actually kind of nice. We can maybe put it on the Gnar to help out our backline, and we get a Reforger. We can just do that as well.
Yep. Reforger is very, very nice to get at this stage of the game. Still running Mercs, by the way, because of that Merc Soul, as well as just running a Tom Kench.
11 win streak, meaning that we're getting at least 1 or 2 gold each time. We've been spending it, which I do like. Sometimes I feel like TFT players can hold on to their riches a little too long. As this is a TK2. Is that going to end up being a TKO?
Wait.
Later on. Oh, we're just getting a double feed.
Okay. Oh, could have double fed with the Alawi there. Reforging the whole Jinx items, and oh, these are pretty good actually. Giant Slayer Shiv for the Jinx, and then more taking us with Frontline. That's like almost, I mean, not perfect obviously, but that's super good.
The Shiv on the Jinx is really nice because after she ults, she's going to get all the value from that Shiv. And look at that. Everyone except for the Malzahar falls. The Malzahar could maybe take someone down, but no. Man, these wins in the late game are actually coming quickly and by a lot of units.
Yeah.
Kandrew should win this against Wizard. So, and that is what happens. It seems like it was by 1 unit again. So it's Wizard slowly bleeding, 1 unit losses, and hopefully can survive for Cash Dash to eliminate Kandrew.
full items on the Aurelia now at this point. Kench farming items is really, really great for scrap units to utilize, so next component will then go on to the Jinx, most likely. Might not even need to get there, though. Cash Dash's board is, again, so freaking strong at this point. 12 win streak, Boop. Looking to make it 13.
Double Trouble board got to show up, though, which is super fun.
Yeah.
Giant Slayer on the Malzahar is super nice. We did get the second shiv onto the secondary Malzahar. So much damage from the Irelia, though. This is the first time I think we've actually seen someone use the Irelia correctly. Though, Vex, hello. You made that a little interesting.
Yeah, that was
Cash
close.
Dash sweating a little bit. Man, what a stressful lobby this has been for him.
I know. Oh man, from the hands on the head, like, oh, how am I gonna cash out? This isn't looking good. I lost to the other Merc player, but no, able to keep ahead in the game. Farm a little bit of money each round with these Mercs, and hey, that does make a difference as well. But this board is about as capped as you can get. 6 Hextech, 4 Striker, not to mention all the other synergies that are being run as well.
And Wizard actually won that last round against Kandrew. So again, this is probably the most rock paper scissors final 3 we've had in a very, very long time. The Tahm Kenches are definitely finding some value. No one's going to get help from that Chalice, but I don't think that was the point. I think it was to try to get to the Syndra, and it does actually get to the Syndra. But go to your room.
And that does a lot of damage to the Sivir in the back as well, healing up a little bit with the Hand of Justice. The next Syndra cast. Yikes.
Why was that
Cash
such
Dash.
a big loss? What was different? Huh.
Interesting.
Yep, that's an elimination. Kandrew does not make it, and Kandrew was the one that was beating Wizard. Oh, and
Yeah,
we got the...
Okay,
no!
I was thinking, that's a lot of damage. I thought that was lethal, but I was like, okay, maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, Cash Dash goes second there. Was that a Wizard victory?
It
right?
was. It was. Oh, go
Okay,
to your
yeah.
room 1!
Yeah, the Syndra.
Yeah, go to your room!
Oh, beautiful stuff there. I have no idea where that leaves the point totals for that lobby.
That's the best.
I wasn't even expecting to win it there. I thought we had another round there. I was mentally preparing to be like, okay, how's this board going to deal with it? What can we see? What can happen different? But we don't even get the opportunity, unfortunately. But fortunately, we do have the final scores ready. And I'm getting word that they are pretty freaking crazy. So let's take a look here. We have a 3-way tied, at least in points, for first place. But of course, the player at the top, I believe, is, wins those ties. But oh man. Okay.
All right,
We
so...
are getting word. Yeah, Yippee Maokai does win on the average placement tiebreaker. So they are going to be your Fight Night Rising victor for the week. This has never happened before.
No, it's never happened. 46 points is actually a lot for a 3-way tie. And if you want to get even more into the math, the average is only 0.2 away between Yippee Maokai A and a Wizard TFT. Go to your room. Almost made it. But we had, look, it was actually almost even. 10, 10, 8, 8, 6, 6, 2, 2. Wait. Hold on. 2, 2, 6, 6, 8, 8, 10, 10, 20, 20. Interesting. They have the...
Oh, wait.
They have the same results.
They do have the same results.
So how does one have a higher placement than the other?
Boop, that's a great question, and we need to delve deeper into
Yeah,
this.
let's get a double check, I think. Apologies, I'm sure this is right. But just wanting to get a double check again because this has never happened before.
Yeah.
But Yippee Maokai and Wizard both do have the same exact placements. So I assume it's I actually think it might be down to last placement.
I think
at
so.
this
I
point.
think the tiebreaker should be like average placement and then placement in the. I mean, okay. So Fight Night Rising's like tiebreakers did change like a while ago, and this hasn't come up. We trust the admins for it, so I'm gonna continue to trust the admins to make sure that they get it all right. I'm not gonna say anything definitive as of right now. Good word.
That's right. So because of the points being doubled, they look similar, but they're actually different averages. Glad we got that double checked. So now we know, right? That is going to be the case. We definitely look at game 4 and 5. going to be more weighted because of the double placements. That's why they're there, right? It helps with this tie break, as it is going to be Yippee Maokai winning it out, finishing out a really great 2 weeks of TFT for them.
Yeah, definitely fantastic work. 2 weeks in a row. I'm still trying to wrap my head around these scores.
Yeah,
I'm just
because Game 5 was a 2 and a 6, so Yippee Maokai has a worst.
Yeah, Yippee Maokai. I mean, the placements were 2 firsts, a second, a fourth, and yeah, Wizard bought two games. A fantastic day, but yeah, bought 2ing the 2 games was the nail in the coffin there.
Game 4. Yeah, that was it. That was unfortunate for us. That 6th place. As we do have the interview. Hello.
How's it going?
Three-way tie, my friend.
Yeah, you tell us. How is it going, Yippee Maokai? First of all, congratulations on your victory, but this is unprecedented. A 3-way tie to win Fight Night Rising. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling good. After game 4, I was doing some math to figure out placements, and I thought I'd give you guys something to talk about here and go 8th and keep it interesting, so.
Yeah, it's certainly, I mean, going 8th and still winning is like, I mean, there must have been a lot of math you're doing on the side. You had some, time, unfortunately, to be checking out how things could have gone there. But able to still get the win. It was a crazy nail biter. How are you feeling about TFT right now with this new, patch coming through? Is a massive B patch. How are you finding the meta right now? Anything that jumps out to you, just in general?
Yeah, I definitely think the B patch shifted the meta a little bit more in a healthier direction. Just slightly less degen Talon, Syndra reroll. I mean, it's obviously still pretty strong, as we saw Syndra in the last game, just destroying the whole lobby. But I think a lot more stuff is viable now. The twin shot buffs that got reverted were certainly appropriate, because I don't really know why the buffs happened in the first place, but I'm glad we can fix stuff like that so the game's not in the state that it was before the B patch.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've had a pretty good last couple weeks. I remember you top 16 or top 8 in the Innovation Cup.
Yeah, I fell short of day 3, unfortunately. Did not have the results that I wanted there, and had to go grind it out to qualify for Challenger Series for this weekend, so I can try and redeem myself there.
Well, I'll be casting you the weekend. So how are you kind of feeling about the Challenger Series right now and your play? You played really clean. Those Merc games were clean, I think, and the first cash out could have been a little difficult, I think, for a lot of people. So is your confidence pretty high going into this weekend in the Challenger Series based on your performance today?
I'm feeling good. I'm studying a lot, playing a lot of ladder, watching good players right now. So doing all the things that I think I need to do to be on top of my game for the weekend.
Yeah, and so my last question is, are we going to be seeing some of that Merc play again over the weekend? Because in some of those tournaments, I think Mercs you can get kind of scared off of them. But are you going to go after it if you have the chance?
Oh, I'm certainly happy to play Mercs in the tourney if I get a good spot for it. I watch a lot of Setsuko, and that dude plays Mercs like every single game, and so I look at Mercs less as like, I mean, when you get the spot for the great cash out, that's awesome, but it's even more just like win-loss insurance. Like if you end up in a bad spot where you're not strong enough to streak, but you have a border, you're not going to take terrible losses. Mercs are a really nice way to just kind of mitigate the econ damage that you can take if you're not streaking. So
cool. That's it for me.
Definitely some further insight into Merc play, and obviously if you watch, Setsuko, you're gonna be playing Mercs pretty well if you play it at least, half as good as Setsuko, it feels like. But Yippee Maokai, congrats on winning Fight Night Rising. Good luck in this coming weekend in the Challenger Series, and we'll give the floor to you for any last words and shoutouts that you might want to give.
Just shout out to my boy KevChan. Definitely have benefited from prepping with him for all the events I've done recently. So yeah, that dude he's for sure a sleeper, one of the best players on the ladder. Look out for KevChan.
All right, look out for KevChan. There you go. Maokai, congrats, and we will see you here next week and this weekend in the Challenger Series.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Boop. There we have it. It wasn't quite as crazy in-game as last week, but it was crazy when we got out of game and seeing those scores. Never happened before, so apologies to everyone out there. We were a little confused there with what happened.
Yeah.
But, trust the admins, trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process. Apologies. on that end. I just wanted to make triple sure.
Yeah.
There was a situation 5 years ago on one of my first casts where there's a similar situation. I did not handle
It haunts you to this day.
Yeah, it
5
did.
years ago.
Yeah, still remembering it. So, yeah, but anyway, what a crazy couple games. Like, in terms of results, usually we have people who are pretty consistent, but it seems like we were up and down for a lot of people today. Especially people like Cash Dash played really well, got a couple second places, but you can bomb out with a 7th or an 8th as well. Really goes to show that consistency is key, and playing first or 8th every single lobby, might be a strategy, but you could maybe go a different direction. Say you first place your first lobby, go top 4 on the next one. See how safe you could play. It's really up to you if you want to really push that advantage or not. But I'm super excited to see what we're going to get this weekend too, because it's ladder players, right, in a tournament setting, and that's always really interesting. Comps can be totally different with a group of players like that than, say, something like Innovator Cup.
I know, it's really interesting. And going further on that for a second, with Yippee Mao Kaye, I think it's really nice to hear a player after not having a performance that they wanted to really be like, all right, I gotta prep super hard, I gotta grind out, I gotta redeem myself, and then actually follow through with it, right? I think that's gonna be the biggest thing. And they were able to do a really great job here tonight, so that makes me really hopeful that they're going to be able to carry out that kind of redemption arc that they set for themselves. So definitely going to be watching that this weekend. Boop, you will be casting, as well as Jirachi and Casanova. It's going to be a fantastic show, so have fun with that. You have anything else to plug for that?
I'm super excited. It is going to be the queerest broadcast probably in the history of esports. All three of us under that flag. Yeah, represent out and proud. And that's just a special moment for me, along with the fact that the players are going to be players that we probably recognize coming through Fight Night. Those tend to be the players in those Challenger series. So I will be a part of the draft special as well. So hopefully my trash talk game is on point tomorrow. I'm excited for it because I like winning. And if I can't win in TFT, I'm going to win in fantasy draft if I can handle it. But yeah, super excited for this weekend. It's going to be some great stuff.
There we go. Look forward to the Challenger Series this weekend, but that'll do it for us here at Fight Night Rising. Take care. Good luck in your TFT games. Have a great rest of your evening.